Okay, this is the January video chat. I guess first announcement, Freeman's Mind is pretty close to done. I'm just waiting on the sound effects, so I'm gonna try and get this video chat out pretty soon. Hopefully it'll be out, Freeman's Mind will be out in a day or two afterwards. At this point I'm waiting on files, but I dropped the ball on that and I got sick last month, so it's about 97% my fault it's late and 3% the sound editors. So that's the only reason it's not. That's about the right ratio, I think. What I would say what's going to happen, but I have so many different videos I want to do that I honestly don't know which one's going to materialize first. Because sometimes I'll start on one, make a lot of progress, then hit a big roadblock and realize it's gonna take more time, and then too much time has passed, so I decide, oh, I better do something I can get out faster. Game Dungeon's probably gonna be lower priority. I'll probably for real start doing the follow-up as long as it takes. These other side videos I've been really wanting to do that are, Freeman's Mind's probably gonna be the priority for January. Probably February also, and then I'll just gradually get the side videos out as they're done, and then eventually make my way back to Game Dungeon. That's the plan. Oh yeah, shoot, another announcement. I totally dropped the ball. I did not have an update on the movie this month, but I'm gonna try and give you a real one next month, and I'll have some short video clips. But I should say this: these are not gonna be like production level video clips or seeing sets and stuff. That's probably what everybody's more interested in. This is gonna be more like technical stuff. I wanna show off what we're doing, or we'll find out for sure this month, what we're doing with the animation systems. So if you've done more of this production stuff, you realize how that's actually a bigger deal than seeing stuff like concept art or maps or anything. Because it's, even though those are more impressive from the end viewer standpoint, you know, seeing a map of what some of the areas are gonna look like or a character model, that's not where most of the work's gonna be. So I hope to have some animation stuff to show off next time. I might throw that on the Curse Farms Junk channel for that. But so yeah, I'm late on that. So I figure better to just check in, let everybody know I'm late. Gonna try again for next month, for February, have an update on the movie. So yeah, I remember, I've probably repeated this now. I remember my friend, we came up when the games are late. My friend, I think I asked my friend, well, yeah, would you prefer that they just have no updates, or just they're perpetually late? Like, oh, it got delayed 3 months. Oh, it got delayed another 6 months. And he said he'd prefer the delays, because if it's just when it's done, you don't even know if they remember the name of the game. So yeah, so I'm taking that approach. I'm late, but I'm still working on it. So yeah. So yeah, the movie is definitely gonna get some time this month from me, and I'll have some. I'm gonna have some to show you, one way or another. We'll see how it goes. But the thing I really want to focus on is facial motion capture. That's kind of what I want to show off. I mean, these might be completely flat shaded characters, you know, no textures or hair or anything, but it's just to show proof of concept. And once we have that system down, can do a lot. So, let's see. Do I have any more announcements? May or may not do streaming this month. I don't know. I wasn't even planning to last month, but then GOG came to me and offered to give out 20 games to fans. So I think, well, I felt like I had to do it then. Okay, this might bore a lot of people. I almost want to try that Serious Sam segment again, except maybe to spice it up a bit, I could try it with the HD version instead of the original. And maybe that won't have the bug, because I feel like, man, if I don't know. I felt like I was coming close, although that middle yeah, I attempted to beat Serious Sam 2nd edition on serious mode on One Life. It didn't work, but it frustratingly felt like it was still possible, though. That's the part that bugged me. Because if it was just like not a chance, then I wouldn't have that lingering doubt. But I don't know. So maybe I'll attempt that again. Yeah, it's what I'm saying. Play Dusk or Medieval. Yeah, well, I have a copy of Dusk now, but Medieval wasn't quite grabbing me from what I saw, but Dusk looked more promising. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's just it. I'm just gonna work on videos. I don't want to overpromise because that's been backfiring on me spectacularly. However, voice work on the next Freeman's Mind is done. It is a shorter episode, but it's a lot going on, and I'm not sure this is the case, but maybe according to my wife, she thinks this one is louder than usual, because she unfortunately has to hear a lot of the recording from it, and no shortage of screaming in the next episode. So if that's what you're showing up for, I think you won't be disappointed. So yeah, I guess I'll start on the questions was submitted. I browsed them. These were like a mix of ones that I thought were ones I wasn't thrilled to answer, ones I thought would be fun. Okay, yeah, here we go. Yeah, you mentioned recently that you aren't good at stealth games, but are good at actual stealth. What times in real life forced you to sneak around so much you would refer to it as stealth? I'm going to have to take the fifth on some of this because, it's a requirement against self-incrimination. However, I will say some things. Without giving further details, I will say I basically broke into my old high school when it had alarm sensors on all the doors, and it had some motion sensor detection alarms. I did not set off anything. It took me a while to get in there, and I'm not giving any more details. So, I guess more benign example is I remember a friend, I was talking to him on IM, and he said, I wanted to borrow a game from him or a CD. It was sort of late at night. And he said, okay to come by, but, be quiet. And I think I typed something like, no problem, I've got the stealth midnight ninja catwalk skills. And he said, oh, good. I tell that to some people and they don't get it because he was worried about waking his parents. So I showed up. I thought, so I was extra careful to be quiet. I thought, well, here, I started thinking, well, hey, let's see how far I can take this. So I arrived, on my bicycle, and, I saw where he was inside, and I think I kind of, so there's different things you can do when you're doing stealth. Like, if some things you can open very carefully, there's other situations where you have to make some level of noise. And when that happens, the best thing to do is wait for other noise and then do that at the exact same time. So if somebody shifts in their chair or they cough or something, that's when you're sitting there waiting to like open a door or something. You do that at that exact moment. So I snuck in there and I saw him, and I just sort of waited for a little bit. I thought, like, well, let's see just how much I can sneak up onto him. And I think I made a slight noise, so he looked towards where I was, a little bit, like just sort of a quick check, like, oh, I thought maybe he heard me, but then I was real quiet, so he didn't. So then I ended up sneaking more back through his laundry room and came around a different entrance to his room. So basically, if you were coming in where he said to come in, it was the complete other side of the room. I just really carefully walked up. I was like, hey, sup? Like right next to him, just about, and it just, like, it caught him to just jump completely. I guess another example is, well, I've only done this on purpose once or twice because Magda has anxieties, but my wife, sometimes at the store, like if we be at the grocery and split up for something, I was supposed to meet her there, I would come in just extremely quietly And then, so she wouldn't notice, and I'd stand right next to her. And sometimes I would just stand there and wait for her to notice. She'd just turn and just be like that. Other times, I think once or twice I made like a monkey sound behind, like, like right next to her. That got her to stall her a bit. But the thing is, I've actually stalled her quite a bit without even trying to. Like, I'll just walk up and then she's like, yeah, jeez. Like, it's actually become a running joke with us. If you've seen my second Halo video, I put sequel to the amazing Halo video, that there's a character in there, that's in the purple armor. And he goes like, and he teleports all around. It's sort of a running joke that I'm kind of like that, according to my wife. So I just can show up at things. Well, I guess also as a kid, you can. Yeah, my mother sometimes watches these video chats, so maybe I shouldn't say too much. But as a kid, I would sneak around at night. I mean, like, hey, maybe I wanted more cookies than I wasn't supposed to have any, or I wanted to watch a movie in the other room really quietly. I had to go right by my parents' bedroom door. And my mother's a light sleeper, so and then floorboards can creak, so you have to. A big part of stealth is patience. You have to absolutely have patience so that you can, again, wait either for right timing, or if it's a noise, depending on the type of noise, if it's something you can distribute so gradually that the person there is likely to notice. They'll think it's just like the house settling or something like that. Where, I mean, you really have to draw it out. And again, if they're unavoidable noises, you have to wait until there's another noise that emerges. Just otherwise they'll notice. Yeah, but yeah, probably the fun part was just scaring the hell out of my friend who told me to come quietly. Yeah, like don't wake up his parents. So I tried to go all the way just as sort of a challenge on that. I also remember being pretty stealthy with a friend of mine. We managed to get another friend's laser tag set that we played at night in the rain, or it was raining a little bit, but it was just it was actually, we were visiting another friend, which is kind of this middle upper class neighborhood with all these zoning rules, and we didn't care. We were just running across people's yards, like going through everything, and it became like a real, it kind of felt like, like a Counter-Strike situation where you're just like, you're on the lookout for where the other person is, and you're hearing the raindrops. So I did kind of a lame move, but my friend said it was cool. He would have done the same thing where you have this body armor as part of the laser tag set, and after stalking one another for like 10 minutes, I finally spotted him. He come out into the street kind of looking for me. And I found a tree next to me. And what I did was I put my chest right up against the tree and just stuck my arm out. So he didn't have any opportunity to hit me back. I mean, that was sort of cheating, but at the same time, I had cover. So that startled him, and he ran across, and we kind of stalked each other. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying. Yeah, I guess with the paintball sessions I have played, they were much more closer quarters that you couldn't really do much stealth for it because it was too confined in the area or too much open space, that sort of thing. But I would love to do something like that in like a wood area, like an airsoft rifle or paintball or something like that. That could be a lot of fun. But okay, so let's move on to the next question. Yeah, no, I mean it's just not the same at all though. Well, I mean maybe a little bit with games compared to actually doing it, because yeah, you do need a lot of patience, and plus sound is so pivotal, like for actual stealth. And I mean maybe there are some games that do it semi accurately, and my guess is they may not be that fun because trying to translate to that. Whereas it's kind of a rush doing it for real that it makes you more patient because there's a lot of suspense, you know. Okay, let's see. Oh, what is your favorite game you played the past decade? I don't know if I have any one favorite, but I could give like a top list that I can think of. Yeah, from I guess, yeah 2010 onward. Subnautica will probably be up there. I mean, I thought the ending could have been a little stronger, but the rest of it was just awesome. It's exactly the sort of thing I hope from games. Axiom Verge was great. It's kind of a Super Metroid clone. That one did have a good ending. That was just a really kind of atmospheric experience from beginning to end. Or some Puzzle Agent that came out 2010. Although I think I played it later, but let's see, what are some other ones? Oh, The Final Station. I enjoyed that one. It's kind of a side-scrolling adventure, kind of interpretive plot thing that's going on. I don't know. I just really like the atmosphere and the theme of that one. Because I'm trying to think of the games where when I played it, I was just really enjoying it. I mean, just like getting into the mood and everything. I've played a whole lot of good, enjoyable games too, though, but these are the ones that sort of stood out. I also like Dex a lot. Excuse me. That one was, yeah, that was on the most anticipated games list. That was, I would call it sort of like cross Deus Ex with Blade in a Blade Runner environment and make it a platformer. That would be the way I'd describe it. Ending was kind of weak on that one, but again, the rest of the game was great. So, and there's, yeah, and I guess if we want to give like the top love-hate ones, those would probably be the Crew and the Secret World for me because I have big issues with both of those, and I think they also did some great stuff. So, but I can't call them my favorites in either case. But there's good stuff in them. But there's a lot of games I haven't gotten to yet. So those are the ones I've played from the past. People can maybe recommend some in the chat that I haven't thought about, but because again, it's the sort of thing where there could be games the general public likes a lot more, but I don't know, those games I enjoyed quite a bit, you know, so. I haven't played Fez. I don't know, I read so much negative stuff about Phil Fish that it made me, kind of turned me off towards playing the game. I have played Super Meat Boy, but that one, I mean, it's good, but it wasn't really my favorite. Supreme Commander would be up there, but I played that before 2010. So, yeah, no, Supreme Commander would be on the list, except it's too old, you know, for that question. Yeah, I think I played Supreme Commander. I played Supreme Commander in 2009. It was after I left Machinima, I remember. So, nah, Serious Sam 3 wouldn't be a top entry. I mean, it had good aspects, but it wasn't just a slam dunk one. I have played some Hotline Miami. It was all right. I mean, I can see why some people really like it. Just not my. I'm never, except for sort of your shoot 'em up flying games, you know, like Tyrion or Raiden or stuff like that. I tend to not like complete top down games. I don't know why. So. Oh yeah, somebody's saying Project Zomboid. Still need to play it. I guess I will at some point. It's still in early access last time I checked. Here, let's see. Is it in early access? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm waiting for that 1.0. Yep, still early access. So I'm waiting for that 1.0 release, you know. I have a copy. I was definitely... Okay, so Total War Warhammer, I still need to play. That one has a learning... I'm going to play it at some point, but it has a learning curve for sure. Haven't played Stellaris yet. Let's see. I played Binding of Isaac. It was all right. Not that I mean, it didn't like blow my mind or anything. So I played some of DayZ as the mod, and then yeah, I finally broke down and bought the Arma 2 with the expansion so you could play it, and then like shortly after that they're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna make a separate game and they have to buy that. So I haven't bought the new DayZ, but I'm curious about it. Let's see. Elite Dangerous, my attitude on that still kind of is what I mentioned in the top 25 games video, and that I think Elite Dangerous strikes me as it's probably 10% awesome and 90% boring for my taste. I mean, some of the games I play, I'm sure people find boring, but like with driving games, I like to kind of see everything. But with space, it's like there's a lot of literally nothing there, you know? Yeah, let's see, where's Spelunky? I tried a little bit of Spelunky. It didn't really grab me. I know the editors of PC Gamer are just nuts over that game. I don't know how many articles they've had about it, but it just, I don't know, it didn't really seem like my thing. Or some others. Oh yeah, people are saying Disco Elysium. Yeah, everybody's saying Disco Elysium is great. I'm sure it is a good game, but like from what I've seen of the atmosphere, it doesn't quite grab me. I mean, I'm not big into like the kind of 70s vibe style, you know, with the music and coloring and everything. Like none of the screenshots intrigue me into thinking like, oh, I want to play this, even though I'm sure the gameplay and writing is great, as everybody says it is. It's like for that kind of game, I think I should go and finish Planescape Torment. You know, I'd rather, because the atmosphere of that grabs me a little bit more. And I like how it's a little more fantastic. So I was mentioning Breath of the Wild, that Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Yeah, well, that one, unfortunately, that was not on PC, but I don't know. I'm not huge on lots of planes. You know, like I don't know if it was I'm probably more interested in the, what was it? I think it was Twilight Princess. I think that's the one. It's one involving a werewolf, I think, and I saw shots of like a ominous forest or something in it. So I'd probably be more interested in playing that Zelda than Breath of the Wild. I don't know, like the atmosphere can really factor into like which games I end up playing. I have played the Talos Principle. That wasn't my favorite atmosphere, but excellent puzzles, very solid gameplay for the Talos atmosphere. Still need to get through the Witcher games. Still need to play Sunless Sea and Sunless Skies. Haven't played The Last of Us. I don't have the hardware for it. Let's see. I still need to play Deadly Premonition. Although I've heard you have to get like probably 3 or 4 different patches to make it more pleasant on the PC for Deadly Premonition. I guess I played Silent Hill 2 before 2010, so because that one was way up there. I didn't really care that much for Doom. I gave up on Doom 2016, to be honest. That game's obsessed with the melee kills. It just screws up the flow of everything. Because it's like they weren't giving me enough ammo to only do shooting things. And then it's like, no matter, you can perpetually stagger the enemies forever. I mean, it's like, instead of just shooting the enemy and you kill them, you stagger them. And then you have to go to the melee kill or hit him again. It's like, the game was too slow for me. I mean, or what I like from a shooter. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm more old-fashioned in that sense that when you shoot the enemy, they go down. And that wasn't Doom 2016 style. That they want you doing the melee kills or just hitting with overwhelming. FTL was pretty good. Maybe not my favorite, but it was pretty good. I haven't played Outward. Yeah, I think is Outward that one where I think the premise was interesting to me, but the screenshots weren't really grabbing me. I think, is that the one where if you die, you go just like way back to the beginning? So it means like these expeditions out to the edge can be really suspenseful. I like that as a concept, but the atmosphere wasn't. Again, I tend to be biased against deserts or, scrubland. So I played Titanfall when they had like a free weekend or something. It seemed okay, but haven't played the second one. I played a little bit of I Divine Cybermancy. I just felt mostly confused. So still need to play Pathologic. I have Payday, but I haven't played it yet. Let's see. Same for Paradigm. Okay, well, I should probably move on to the next question. Let's see. Wolfenstein New Order was good. Again, maybe not my favorite, but it was good. So. Okay, so keep on moving then. Ross, when you covered Eternum and Game Dungeon, you said that the U.S. would eventually become like Argentina. What did you mean by that? I said that I think it's more likely it would become like Argentina. I didn't say it was like I forget my exact words, but it's something like if I had to guess, or I think it's going to be more like that. So I'm not saying that as a definitive statement. I was referring mostly to the Argentina economic crisis at the beginning of the century now. But maybe they're better examples. I'm not an expert on this, but I was trying to think what I feel like there have to be other countries that have been in similar situations as the U.S., except they're farther along with how it went. And by that I mean you have like a very kind of business-friendly government system, very free market, where it's not necessarily addressing the needs of the people, and you kind of have like a top-heavy control of power. And by that I meant, see, they went through a major economic depression, and see, with the French Revolution, people started starving, and that was it. I mean, they were beheading people. The aristocracy was out. It turned into anarchy. It collapsed. And from that, you ended up having a new form of government later, after the Reign of Terror. But I think the U.S. probably wouldn't go that way. And instead, what you have is just sort of this slow atrophy, or that's just the word I want. Slow atrophy of the government and how it's functioning, but it never really collapses. And instead, things just kind of gradually get harder and harder, and basic needs of the citizenry are less met, that sort of thing. So, whereas I don't think you would have the same sort of revolt like you had in the French Revolution. And there's probably several South American countries that might kind of fit that model. In other words, they've gone where we seem to be headed. They've already been where we seem to be heading, that sort of thing. So maybe people know better examples by now. I mean, I forget when I did the Eternum episode. It was several years ago, for sure. But it's basically, you can have kind of a gradual collapse that never fully collapses, is what I was getting at. And I think that's where the U.S. is probably heading. Whoops, I lost my window here. Wait a minute, it's supposed to keep up with that. But yeah, I think we have more. I think we have more hard times ahead as far as economic and functioning of society, that sort of thing. Economic state. Okay, what's your favorite improvement to your life in the last 10 years? I'm not sure, but well, I guess not living hand to mouth. That's always a good condition to be in. Even though I had some scares with that. I mean, people have good suggestions in the replies here. They said getting married. That was good. Although, I guess getting married wasn't that big a difference than just being in a long-term relationship, for me anyway. But yeah, that's been nice. And escaping from a cinema, yeah, that'd be way up there. I always had this nagging doubt that this may not last, with being with Machinima. Even if there was nothing I could nothing concrete I could point to at the time. So, yeah, it's and to back up again for a second, I was thinking in relation to that question, I still stand by what I said in the Robot Jobs video, how if I had to guess like which science fiction reality most resemble our own one, I would go with Soylent Green. However, there's a big divide between where we are right now versus where society is in Soylent Green. So what does that path look like, you know? And which countries are close or farther along on that? So that's the way to look at it. So, but yeah, other favorite improvement to my life. So yeah, just being in a relationship, not... it's 100 times better being beholden to you guys than to Machinima or just a faceless YouTube algorithm. So yeah, that's huge. I mean, I hated making that video, but I'm really glad I did make the Begathon one. Let's see. Because, I mean, again, if I can get up here each month. If you guys like, Ross, you're taking too damn long on the videos, just get something else faster. And if that gets like 100 votes up, it's like, okay, well, that's what I need to do, you know? Or, so it's, that's so much better. Because I feel like the audience and I are basically on the same page in that we want more good videos. So, whereas that's not necessarily what YouTube wanted or what Machinima wanted, you know? So, and like the main point of contention is like, how long do they take, or will these be worth it, or that sort of thing, or what's practical? See, those are much better questions to have to wrestle with, but yeah, I mean, being able to just make more videos. I guess I don't have anything too insightful beyond that, so people already had the good answers. Okay, next question. It's mentioning Yahtzee explains that in the mod, his voice had changed from when he began the project to when he finished it. Thus, the voice acting was noticeably different in the start and end of the game. Has this happened to you, either due to recording while ill, different recording environments, etc.? Yeah, well, different recording environments. My voice itself is fairly is pretty consistent, but the environments can change a lot. I mean, the easiest example is Freeman's Mind. Compare the first episode to now, and I think Freeman's Mind has changed microphones 3 times at least. Yeah, the worst one I think might have been 15 or so, or around there, where I had to record in the conference room at Machinima because they didn't have a place I could record. So, yeah, that one probably sounds the worst. But let's see. Yeah, it can happen. I try to be aware of that. I actually recorded some of the dialogue for Veil of Darkness the year before, but again, my environment wasn't the same. I can't remember if I switched mics by then or not. So I just threw it out and redid it. But yeah, well, I have the dialogue for an unfinished Civil Protection episode that I'm gonna need to. I've got it for the other characters. I'm probably gonna need to do my voice for it, but I hope to get that out eventually. But unfortunately, it's lower priority because there's so much work with animation, and so I'm dumping that into the movie instead. I mean, not that script, but the time that would go to it. But yeah, it's happened, and I try to keep a consistent per session though. Like although I think I really screwed up experimenting with recording methods for the Trackmania episode. You can hear some chunks where it definitely sounds different or more muffled, that sort of thing, but. Okay. Oh yeah, this one. Ross, Windows 7 is nearing end of support for Microsoft. Do you have any immediate plans for this, or will you just keep on trucking without updates, like I will? Okay, so I guess here are my plans. I'm probably gonna move to 10 at some point because there are a few reasons increasingly. I'm not too worried about the lack of updates. I mean, if I was running a corporate server or something, you know, or those under constant attacks, I mean, they're not impossible, but you know, I have a fairly robust antivirus, and I try not to do stupid things online, so that's half the battle right there. There are 2 videos. These are part of the side videos that I definitely want to make before I go to 10. So that's one of the reasons they're rising in what's the word, priority. But there are a few things I want to do with 10. Like it has better. I think it has better DPI scaling than 7 does, and I wouldn't mind tweaking that. Also, there's a few programs that just won't run on my system. Actually, I'm not sure I want to go to it anyway, but when I was trying to test out like Premiere CC, it didn't work. But then I'd have to pay a monthly fee, so I'm probably not going to go to Premiere CC anyway. Someone gifted me a copy of The Crew 2. I got to the menu, it always just stalls, and I'm assuming if I upgraded to Windows 10, they would probably fix that. I eventually want to play the Forza Horizon games, at least the ones that are on PC. Anyway, and those require 10. I'm a little interested in the newer Gears of War games, though. I've only played. I wish Microsoft would just port Gears of War 2 and 3 over to PC. I mean, they didn't have to update anything. Just remap the controls to like a mouse and keyboard. You know, have just some basic support, and then you know, I don't need an HD version or anything like that. Okay, somebody says Gears 4 is terrible, so okay. Because I played the first one, I'd really kind of prefer to play 2 and 3 before I went to 4, but. And this is why Microsoft is frustrating. They've re-released Gears of War updated with higher level graphics, yet we still don't have 2 or 3 on the PC. So, but yeah, well, Forza Horizon games like 3 and 4, all of them really, but I definitely want to play those. And a lot of VR support is requiring Windows 10. In fact, I'm not sure, but I think for, you know, the modern sets, the Pimax ones might be the only game in town that you can run on Windows 7 still. Because I think all the Windows mixed reality ones require 10. I think Oculus said they're going to require 10. Maybe Vive does too. I mean, and so it's all going, if you want to do VR, it sounds like you have to be on Windows 10. So that's kind of what's nudging me forward. And I was debating if I wanted to say more on this, but I might as well, because I don't have like a ton of questions I need to get through. Look, I'm gonna go full Luddite here because I don't plan on bringing this up too much in other videos. Windows 10, I'm not going to it unless it's on my terms, and that's becoming exceedingly difficult. And in my mind, Windows 10 represents a huge paradigm shift in computing, unlike any other version of Windows. And that they have forced mandatory it's a combination of things. It's forced mandatory updates combined with them laying off their quality assurance department. So nobody's really testing these things. They're just sort of pushing out some beta ones to users and just having AI testing and then just fixing it as they go. Microsoft, I think there's a strong argument to make that they've converted Windows into a perpetual beta. And that is so not how I use computers. I am such a bigger fan of having a major update, you know, lots of polish, and then every couple years or something. Maybe if there was like an urgent security fix or something, I could see, you know, needing. But the thing is, they've abused that too, because they've put in, you know, what were they? recommended updates or security updates, and then they bundled that with stuff like, I don't know if it was Candy Crush specifically, but there was stuff that they bundled in that was clearly not security related. It's just them trying to push more services or something they're using. So basically Microsoft has abused the trust on that on just every level, in my opinion. And the thing is, I know there's somebody watching this that's just screaming I'm an idiot because no, you need those security updates, Russ, right now. Well, I need to see the numbers, because what are the odds of your system, again, not running shady executables, having antivirus? What are the odds? I'm not talking about of like real world odds of your system being compromised because you didn't have a specific update versus something screwing up on your system because of a bad update. And it's like having to choose between it's like one is more intense of a threat. However, the odds are incredibly lower, where the other one is a moderate threat and the odds are medium. You know, I don't know. So basically, if I go to Windows 10, I have to make sure it will not update. And yes, there are guides in that. However, I've heard conflicting results. And then when they have a new version, the old fixes may or may not work. And this stuff is not well documented. What will stop update in its tracks 100%. So 3 months from now, it's still not going to update without your consent. 6 months from now, it's still not going to update without your consent. Because again, I've seen things break. Hey, that's another thing that's broken due to an update. I'm going to mention this actually in the follow-up episode. I didn't mention in the episode because I thought people are going to think I'm making this up. Okay, in the Human Revolution episode for Game Dungeon, I was using Shadowplay to record that. And during that time, there was a mandatory update for Shadowplay to bring it to 3.0 or whatever. And for that one, you had to register with NVIDIA to get it working. And I kind of resented having to do that, but I was desperate to get it working. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'll register this stupid system so I can get back to work. This was interrupting me in the middle of my work to do this because it connected to the internet. So, I mean, see, the threat of that sort of thing, I have enough delays as it is without having to deal with that kind of crap. So So I did that, and then it still didn't work. Like I went through the new Shadowplay, and yeah, to this day, at least on my system, it still doesn't work. And that was a shoved update on me. And then, now, I did find a solution for a while. I found a Shadowplay installer, a GeForce Experience installer, that you could run and install it completely offline so it never dialed out to get the new update, which would break things for me. I was using that for a while, but then eventually the NVIDIA drivers stopped working with that version. So then I either had to choose between having much older drivers or being able to use Shadow. So I just haven't used Shadowplay since then. It's good software, but I really kind of resent how they bundle it in with this kind of forcing updates down your throat. I mean, this stuff, so that's the thing. I understand the need to get security updates out to as many people as possible. So you know, I can see removing that option as a default. Like, let's say the default user, you know, they're going to get mandatory security updates and they're going to try and update when it's convenient for them. Okay, that's fine. But to remove that control entirely, good God. I mean, I have seen Windows security updates break software I use that never got fixed. That part is gonna come out in a future video. I mean, it's not gonna be the point of it. So I just have so little trust for this to be used responsibly because it's been broken multiple times. So this has been sort of like a crisis for me with Windows 10 because I'm not gonna do it that way. And for the people mentioning Linux in the chat, one of the videos is going to test it's going to test a big part of what I use computers for, and we'll see how Linux holds up. Linux will be part of the test, as will Windows 10 and 7. So that's another one of the videos I'm wanting to make. So this isn't a black and white situation, but it's I, I'm I'm just really kind of resentful about this. And again, I'll accept the Luddite label on this. It's not that, because some people are going to say like, oh, Raw's just afraid of change, and like, well, yeah, if it breaks things, you're right. I am afraid of change. That's the, yeah, if it breaks things and there's not a solution for how I was doing things. So, and then now I either literally cannot do what I was doing, or it's way more inefficient, or that sort of thing. Yeah, it's, so I don't know. I'm probably gonna have to move to 10 at some point, but I'm not looking forward to it. And then I just have all this different software I use. So I always kind of dread having to move over to a new OS because I never know what's gonna break for the software I use. See, I use tons of stuff. I mean, another thing, and see, I use things a lot of people may not use. Like, I have a lot of GUI customization going on, and that's like target number one for things that are going to break with the new OS. But to combine that, but at least once I make the migration over, like from XP over to 7, like I did, well, then once I finally hammer things down, then it can start working. But with this rolling beta system that Windows 10 is on now, I mean, if you fired your testing department and so literally no one's tested some updates, and there's no secure point where you can say, okay, well, these newer updates, they might be iffy, but this one is real stable. I think that's a perpetual beta. I mean, that is just not how I've used computers pretty much my whole life. I try to avoid early access games. So, let alone the OS, which is way more important, so. Yeah, well, it's, yeah, you can see why I was kind of debating whether to bring that up. So yeah, I'm sure some people are going to think I'm an idiot and just being a Luddite, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of people in the computer tech community that should kind of know better. Like how, again, security updates, I get that. However, I've seen what I'd have to call them zealots, where I've seen people say that better that your whole system, better that your entire system not work properly than miss one single security update. I've literally seen somebody in a forum say that, and not as a joke, like they were dead serious. And it's like, well, some of us use computers for work and things like, there needs to, and if security is that much of a risk, there are other measures you can do. Just keep, like I have real valuable stuff that's not even on my computer. They're on external drives. So they're unhackable, basically, short of breaking in here. So, I mean, if it's real sensitive stuff, yeah, I can understand. Just keep it off the system so you can do your job, but I don't know. It's something I'm going to have to figure out, because it's too bad that I do so much with gaming too, because that kind of, because, with depending on some jobs or what you use the computer for, Linux might be more palpable, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to have a video related to that in the future. So, yeah. In the chat, you want the ultimate security update? Just hit the power button. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's sort of a crisis I haven't had to deal with before in computers. There's been nothing like this in previous versions of Windows, where you no longer control whether your system updates. Or if you're someone who has struggled with this and you've verified 100%, if you do these steps, Windows will never update without your permission. Feel free to contact me, but I mean, you've run the gauntlet. It's like say you hooked up a secondary system or something, or a virtual machine. You did these steps 1 year ago. 1 year later, still hasn't tried to update. That sort of thing. So. All right, so I should keep moving on, but that's where I stand on it. Well, okay, I should move on. I guess the last thing I wanted to say, I've this is by no means as bad as something like 1984, but this is a really mild Orwellian stance on computing. They are just removing your control entirely, or attempting to. It's kind of like it's the equivalent of like what streaming is for gaming, for streaming exclusives, you know? Streaming as an option is fine. Streaming as the only way to get your games is just, it's really authoritarian, I think. I mean, yes, this isn't nearly as serious as some other things that, you know, Orwell was trying to paint a picture of. It is just games or just using the OS, but at the same time, it's, yeah, boiling frogs, Ross. Yes, exactly. I mean, to me, this is this is kind of crossing a line for me. And as I say this, I would support them having mandatory security updates as the default option on Windows. The default option with the ability to turn it off. I think that's totally reasonable compromise. So it's not that I'm anti-security or anti-updates. I'm just like anti-remove all control over you and then have the people who did that abuse that control, which in my opinion, Microsoft has done. So, okay, I should keep going. What's the fastest you've ever quit a game? Well, I guess ones that don't work, but this may not be the fastest, but it's up there. Firewatch, I gave that maybe 10 minutes. I went through the intro and I could tell the tone of this is not what I was gonna be, not my thing. I mean, it was taking this real kind of soap opera-ish melodramatic tone to it. And I was thinking, oh no, I don't want this. I just wanted, I wanted something mysterious going on in the woods while things are on fire. That's what I was hoping for. So, I mean, it might be a okay game, but I gave up on it fast, you know. Well, no, they're saying it's pretty depressing. It wasn't just depressing. It's like you're choosing what you focus on. You know, I mean, Silent Hill is depressing, or Silent Hill 2, but man, they take that interesting places. And you're getting that feeling they're gonna take it interesting places pretty early on. Okay, well maybe people are saying I should reconsider Firewatch, but I don't know. It didn't. I'm sure there's some shovelware stuff that I've played that I quit even faster, but yeah, I mean, well, I wasn't sure what to expect from the original trailer, and then, well, the atmosphere seemed promising, but yeah, I mean, they set the tone in the beginning that this is going to be a drama fest here, and not. When I say drama, I'm not like anti-drama because, you know, one of my favorite movies is The Shawshank Redemption, and that's drama. But I feel like that's really earned drama, you know. I think that's the right expression, earned drama, where you really kind of built the case to have the full weight of what's happening about these characters that you're on board with, rather than just like, no, we're just going to be somber and depressed because our lives are full of drama, you know, or canned drama, or I don't know. There's probably better terms for this than what I'm making up. Let's see. Which one do you like more, Monty Python, The Holy Grail, or Life of Brian? Is there any chance of you making a Game Dungeon episode on Postal 2? Well, I guess I like Monty Python, The Holy Grail better. There's just more scenes I found funny just from beginning to end in it. And for Postal 2, that one wasn't really on my list, but I guess if I got enough requests, I could do one on it. I should see what Civ 11 has done. I feel like if I'm gonna cover a first-person shooter now, I should maybe check and see if he's done something on it because he does pretty good job. I mean, it's so and it. I am gonna do one on. That's probably. I do have a game dungeon plan. I've been putting off the follow-up long enough, so I think that one has to be next. But probably the first one after the follow-up is going to be a game he's covered. And I saw his version of it, and mine's just totally different direction, so it should be fine. You know, you're not gonna feel like you're just watching a repeat. But yeah, for Postal 2, okay. See, this is a little frustrating because for Postal 2, I still kind of want to do this where Postal 1's pretty dark and Postal 2 is just zany. So I almost wanted to, I kind of took some steps towards I had like a prologue script and actually I have someone with sound editing who sounds a lot like the Postal dude. And I kind of wanted to make like a Machinima series, sort of a Postal 1.5 thing where, like if let's say I had been the creative director, the director for Postal 2 or something, I wouldn't have done it quite like they would have. I would want more humor than what Postal 1 had, but not make it quite as just over the top as Postal 2. I would try to make like a funnier, more intense version of like, if you've seen the movie Falling Down, that's kind of more like the tone I would be after. Because I don't know, I do like the concept of a pressure just building and building on a person until they just basically snap in some way, and then to take like a dark comedy tone on that can be really good too. Although I think I could do it funnier than Falling Down. So yeah, I kind of wanted to do like a Postal 1.5 Machinima series, you know, where it's like right in between the tones of Postal 1 and 2. So yeah, it's yeah, but I mean there's lots, and Postal 3 I thought was pretty weak. Although I did remember one part I liked where you're in a bank robbery and this helicopter comes out and they start, it's a police helicopter comes out with this mounted gun and it's just like, you have the right to eat my 50 cal. And then it starts firing into the banks. So actually there's a new Postal 2 expansion I still haven't played. That I didn't even realize, yeah, Paradise Lost, I think. I played Apocalypse Weekend, which I like parts of it, even though it was definitely it was way over into zany territory, though I didn't think it was as strong as 2. I guess my favorite scene was like the Tourette zombies, where you go to this Chinese food restaurant and you give them your order and the clerk is obviously a zombie and they're just like, blah, 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 blah. And then the Postal dude just kind of says, all right, whatever, just give me a number 7. You know, like he was hoping to have his like actual Chinese food dish, but he can see that this clerk is just, he's still holding on to the hope that, you know, he can get his food here. But he can tell this clerk is not going to be too receptive to custom orders here. It's like, okay, just give me a number 7. Like, like he's lowering his standards so he could try to get his food. Like, I remember enjoying that part. Okay, let's see. Should keep moving on. So yeah, I mean, maybe I'll do Postal 2, but I'll see. I'd have to figure out what I would want to say about it that hasn't been covered already. Because yeah, I mean, it really has kind of a trauma movie feel to it now that I look at it. But yeah, I will say it's the first game, maybe the only. No, there's probably been others, but it's the first game that ever made me wait in line. Like, that's. I mean, yeah, there's definitely aspects of genius, I think, buried in Postal 2. Not the whole game, but in there. I mean, I love how your objectives are, return library book, get milk, pick up your paycheck. I mean, and it's just like trying to get you to snap. I mean, I thought that was like a real genius approach to it, but execution is kind of all over the place, though. So, all right. Yeah, I said in the Cave World episode how I would have discovered the Dragon City within a month. Yeah. I mean, I tend to explore within a radius around me of pretty much every place I've lived over time. Let's see. Okay, and then he has this long scenario. I'll try to sum this up. Apparently, I've entered another dimension, Mist style, and there's some old tower with this old wizard tower with documents and some crystal, and apparently I can transport to other realities, but it's busted. The wizard couldn't figure it out. So my options are spend almost all your time in this reality trying to figure out how to fix the core and use the tower to return home. Give up on your initial hopes of returning home, deciding to spend your life exploring and documenting the wild new frontier of this alternate dimension. Try to do both. Spend some days trying to fix the core. Well, I guess I'd probably try to do a little bit of both. I wouldn't have a lot of confidence that if a wizard couldn't figure it out, that I would be able to. I mean, you're at a double disadvantage if you're in another reality because you probably don't know the language or the engineering or anything, or if this is magic or whatever. So it's going to be doubly cryptic to you. So I don't know. I'd probably just try to make peace and enjoy the new reality as best I could. I mean, I'd certainly fiddle with the wizard stuff, but if I had I'm skeptical that if it was too tough for a wizard to figure out, that I'd be able to. I mean, I can figure out some things, but if it's beyond the wizard, then probably not going to work. So, yeah, I guess I'd just make peace with it and adapt to my new reality. I mean, okay, so let's see. Are there any games you've broken your price of a sandwich rule because you felt so attracted to them you needed to play them right now? And then they're mentioning Disco Elysium again. Well, I guess it wasn't always price of a sandwich rule. I mean, because again, games didn't used to be as cheap as they are now. I used to have kind of $15 as sort of my upper limit, but man, I was not spending that on the last, well, I mostly got games on the Black Friday sale. I mean, yeah, my average came to about $2.59. And these are games that, started off at, when they were released, $30 to $60 games. I mean, these weren't shovelware titles or, just... Well, I think I maybe got one or two ones that were a little experimental that were like 60 cents that I liked the way they looked and it sounded intriguing from the stuff. But so yeah, if anything, my price has come down on it, but not really because as a kid, I remember, I'm sure there were tons of games I really wanted. I remember two that stood out to me was I really wanted to play Mortal Kombat. And I also really wanted to play was it Beavis and Butthead Virtual Stupidity? But in both cases, I didn't have the money, so it didn't matter. And that was kind of the case with gaming for me for a really long time. And, it's... By the time I actually did end up having some money, I had gotten so proficient at being a budget gamer already that I didn't feel like I needed to switch things up too much. I did remember really wanting to play Grand Theft Auto 3 though. I'd seen some of that. That was one that... But that one, I had to wait for that one anyway for it to come out on PC. That one came out on PC like a year or two later, I think. And even then, I waited till the price came down. But I guess what it is, if I thought the game was never going to get cheaper, then yeah, I might do that. But it's like it just, they always crash now. And if anything, it's more extreme now than it used to be. So that said, I have broken my $20 rule, but it wasn't for games for me. For buying games for other people, I have broken that on 2 occasions. One was as sort of a bonus wedding present. My wife really wanted the deluxe edition of the Guild Wars 2 expansion. Was it Path of Fire? And the timing was about when we were getting married. So yeah, that was a wedding. That was an additional wedding gift. So she got the deluxe version of that. And another one was for one Christmas, her sister really wanted Fallout 4. So people can probably know which Christmas this was from when that when did it come out. And I was thinking, man, I don't, and it just come out too. 2015. So I paid about $45 for that. I never pay that for games, but it's a present for her sister and she really wanted it. So, I caved in on that. So, but yeah, for myself, I'm still, I don't think I've come close to the $20 rule. It's since, I think I mentioned that in the Carnival episode. I think the highest I've gone then has been around 15, but I didn't even come close to that. And I think the priciest game I paid for in the last sale was like $750 for Vermintide 2. So, or something like that. I mean, it just gets so cheap now. So yeah, those, but I mean, I figure if the game's for somebody else, that's kind of a different thing then. Well, I bought her the other Guild Wars expansion. It was at Heart of Thorns. I don't know if we got the full deluxe version of that though. We definitely got the deluxe for Path of Fire though. Because I mean, my wife loves Guild Wars too, so maybe someday she'll go back to streaming. Because I think she would be better at streaming than I would. Because she has all these really natural reactions and really gets engaged. It's like, oh God, I think. But she has her anxieties about that, so I'm not trying to force her. But I think she would be natural at streaming. So, or hey, she has her Twitter, Amazing Magda. If you play Guild Wars 2, maybe send her a message. Maybe she does a lot of world versus world, I know. So I've sort of learned a lot about Guild Wars 2 just through osmosis, just because she plays it a lot, so I inevitably learned some about it. So yeah, if you're a Guild Wars 2 fan, check out the Twitter Amazing Magda. You might be able to play with her. So. Okay, so, but yeah, I guess I don't. And now, I mean, geez, you saw my game list video, so that's where my mind's at as far as paying brand new price for a game. Oh, and I guess I should mention this for full disclosure here, because I could wait, but although my wife really wants it, however, it ended up not mattering. As of right now, I have a copy of Cyberpunk. This is basically a bonus benefit for me. Kind of anytime there's a related game, I link the GOG. So in exchange for that, there's like an unofficial agreement where sometimes I get free games. So I think that's literally the first so I didn't have to buy that one. I was just able to, it's like I said in the game list video, I can be bribed to do exactly what I was going to do anyway. So I was going to cover Messiah anyway. Hey, GOG has Messiah? Sure, I'll link the GOG. It's like that. So I'll be able to play that one when it's due. But then again, I'm not in a rush. I've got so many other games. But yeah, or maybe I should do something on Cyberpunk. I don't know. But the thing is, for a game like that, I kind of don't want to rush it. I don't want to feel like, oh, I got to get through this as fast as possible and make a video on it. So. So yeah, I think that's literally the only pre-order I've ever had. Yeah, well, okay, somebody's saying you will get it or you already have. I have a pre-order, so I can't play it before anybody else. So don't worry. I'm not getting special privileges. Well, I mean, I had the game, but that was a special treat. But so yeah, so yeah, this all went down after I made the game list video. So basically, I promote GOG which I was fine. Look, I meant 100% what I said in that vid. I think, yeah, it was the game list video where I said, like, even if they never had this deal at all, for me, it still is GOG versus everybody else. Because you own the game. You buy the game, you own it. You can back it up. Even if your account got hacked, you could still own the game if you took precautions. You know, whereas everybody else, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Although I may have to stand corrected on that. Somebody was telling me itch.io, pretty much all the games, there are no games as a service. In other words, if you buy the game and you like download it and back it up, that's it. Like no one can ever take it away from. The game's always going to work, assuming you have a working system that's compatible and everything. So, people can fact check me on that, but if that's true, then fine. Itch.io is in the same camp, though that has a lot more weirder indie titles. I'm not sure if I want to play them or not. I'm sure there's good stuff on itch.io, but so yeah, if that's the truth, and that itch.io has no game where the core game depends on a central server you're not in control of. You know, in other words, if it's shut down, you could keep playing your game. If that's the case, then fine. It's GOG and itch.io. But Steam, some games are like that, some they're not. You know, Epic, some are like that, some they're not. Well, actually, I have no idea with Epic. maybe none of them are like that with Epic. For Origin, same with Origin and Uplay, it's all the same thing to me. You know. Actually, you know what it reminds me of? They made a mini series out of the Odyssey in the late '90s that's pretty good, and it once. Well, I mean, I don't know how much the dialogue is an exact translation from the actual poem, but in the movie, the one scene, you know, towards the end, where Odysseus has been gone forever, so now all these suitors are wanting to remarry his wife so they can have control over the kingdom. And so she sets up the competition for them, you know, to basically do this feat that Odysseus is capable of having really strong strength to set his bow, and then having really good accuracy to shoot it through these tiny hoops. And she says, like, you're all the same to me. That's why she said the contest, because she realizes she has to remarry. She doesn't want to, but it's like, fine, you're all the same to me. That's kind of how I feel about any games, about the non-GOG type game services. You know, it's like, fine, you're not promising whether I get to keep the game or not. That's like, whatever. Then you have. I don't hold you in any esteem over the others. Then. Okay, so I should keep moving on then. Let's get some more questions. What is your own personal New Year's resolution? Do you have any movies or games coming out 2020 which you're waiting for? You know, I thought about this. Okay, maybe this sounds a little arrogant, but I feel like I am so busy working on things. I kind of feel like I should just keep it up as my New Year's resolution. That, like, if I can just keep doing what I'm doing, I'm gonna get a lot of things accomplished. I mean, I feel like I've got a lot of things kind of in order. So it's not that I don't have room to improve. It's more like I'm already just on the train doing stuff. So, like, for sure, I want serious progress on the movie, though, if I had to pick one thing. Because I mean, I exercise regularly. I'm trying to stay off sweets. What are some other things? I mean, yeah, I guess I could do more weights. I've been sort of slacking on that. The movie though, movie would be like top one. I'm probably gonna switch to Windows 10 or something this year, but see, I was kind of on that trajectory anyway. So yeah, just keep doing things to just keep pursuing the projects and doing things I think will lead to good videos or things I want to do. And I kind of mostly took care of one of my, not really a New Year's resolution, but something I've been meaning to do forever last year or 2019. And unfortunately, it did lead to some video delays, but I'm still happy I did it. Which was I backed up so much abandonware that stuff where if some of my sources disappeared, I don't even know if I could buy a lot of this stuff. Some of it's that off the beaten path. So, and this is all stuff that, I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I might be interested in this. So I wasn't going just across the board backing up everything. I'm not really, I thought about it. I'm not really a hoarder. However, I am a stockpiler. So there's a difference. Because hoarders just feel like they have to have everything, whereas a stockpiler, they want all that stuff because they're anticipating they're going to go through it at some point. It might be way down the road, but so that's yeah. I think that it kind of shows where my mind is at. So I kind of stockpile the abandonware. So that bodes well for future Game Dungeon episodes, I think. But yeah, okay. And movies or games I'm looking forward to this year. Well, I guess Cyberpunk. I mean, I'm intentionally still having basically a blackout on it because I don't want to get it too like hyped up for it and then I can't play it, or maybe have things spoiled that would have been better if I hadn't seen it. All I've seen of Cyberpunk, aside from a couple screenshots, is like an E3 trailer from a couple years ago. It's the one that starts out, it's like they voted, Night City or the place I live is the worst city in America. Yeah, it starts off on the subway. That's the one trailer I've seen, and I saw that. I'm just like, all right, I'm in. I don't need more convincing. Let's see, what else is coming out? I don't know. I'm to be, in all honesty, I'm probably more excited about all the stuff that's on my game list, a lot of which I managed to grab this year during the Black Friday sales. And just kind of, because I don't know everything that's coming out. Well, okay, there's one game I forgot the name of it, though it's on the game list. Here, let's see. It was this, it might even be out now for all I know. I saw it browsing through stuff. I mentioned it on my Twitter. I was pretty impressed by it. Okay, let's see. Here, I'll click on, yeah, I'm going to the game list and clicking on not out. So, well, yeah, this isn't what I was thinking of, but I need to update this. Mosaic is, Earthbreakers looks like it could be a cool game. Kind of again, I'm really liking the concept of like this kind of single player planet side-ish kind of game. And that looks like that could be in that same vein. But what's the name of that game? Lamentum, I think. That one looked pretty cool. It looked like this kind of pixel art, Lovecraftian RPG, horror descent into madness kind of thing that looked like it might be up my alley. Yeah, I mean, I'm still updating it though. I'm a couple weeks behind. To be honest, just go to accursefarms.com/games, click on the not out button. It's not fully updated, but that says the stuff I'm looking forward to. I mean, that's why I made the games list. I mean, it's overwhelming how much promising stuff there is coming out. Although some of these have since come out, so I guess I should update them. But in fact, let's see, Iron Harvest. That was another one. I remember looked like it was pretty cool. I think that one might have been mentioned Okay, speaking of the last decade, I think I might have heard of that game literally like maybe 9 years ago or something like that. So, but there's a lot of promising stuff on here. Twin Mirror looks like it could be interesting. See, yeah, there's just okay, but for movies, I have no idea what's coming out. What are some? Okay, let me go back to the chat here. Wasn't Slain on your list? Yeah, I think. Yeah, I played Slain. The oh yeah, people mentioned Half-Life Alyx. Well, maybe. I mean, okay. Somebody's saying System Shock Remaster will release this year. Well, yeah, I definitely want to play that. Yeah, they probably should get it out this year around Cyberpunk time because people are gonna want more Cyberpunk. Yeah, you know what? That's actually what I'm hoping happens. Is sometimes real big high profile games spawn a lot of other games in the same sort of theme as the other game. Like I'm trying to think of. I know there's examples of this though. I'm drawing a blank, and I would love that to happen from. So I'm not looking forward just to Cyberpunk. I would love it if Cyberpunk ushers in sort of a mini Cyberpunk renaissance where a lot of people are making Cyberpunk kind of games. Because I mean, of different flavors, and scale and sort of thing. Because so it's like great, bring it on, So yeah, Cyberpunk's kind of interesting in that I feel like there's certain kinds of games I can be like really interested in, and that very rarely happens to be like the sort of AAA full budget production. So it's like the stars are aligning that because Cyberpunk strikes me as the sort of game, yeah, I'd be completely on board. And yes, there would probably be some mid-tier developer with a more restrained scale of the game because they don't have the budget to get mass appeal. Whereas this is going to go out all the way. And so it's like, man, that is awesome. I'm not into obscure games necessarily for the sake of them being obscure. It's just that they tend to have kind of more interesting themes than games that are trying to appeal to everyone, so. But yeah, I'm probably more interested in games that are like on my existing games on my list than newer ones just because because there's so many now, I mean, just literally just going. It may not be this way for everybody, but literally just going back and looking at the game list, I got excited. Like, oh man, look at all these games. This is great. Like, that's what I love about having screenshots because you get a taste of what the game is hopefully like, and just seeing all these great screenshots makes you think like, oh wow, this is gonna be so great, So okay, I should keep moving on. Don't usually wait a few years. Okay, well, this is the chat question. Don't usually wait a few years for games. Are you going to play Cyberpunk soon after release? Well, maybe I will just because this is sort of a exception. This is literally, I think, the first pre-order I've ever had. And, however, well, okay, let me ask the audience. How is CD Projekt's reputation for bugs for a game like on release? I have no idea. Because, like, see, again, it's like the industry has trained me to wait, so it's kind of odd for me to have this situation where, like, oh wow, I could play it almost immediately, because I almost want to say it's the norm now. I consider most major games on release to be late betas. Like, I don't even because they're gonna come out with patches. So it's the sort of thing where, yeah, maybe it does pay off to wait a little bit. I can tell you right now, though, my wife Magda, she's probably gonna play it immediately. so maybe I will too. Yeah, somebody's saying I think I'll enjoy Cyberpunk with game-breaking bugs. Yeah, maybe I will. I'll see. But so it's one, the games cost more. Two, they're gonna have more bugs, And, so those two combined tend to kind of push me towards just waiting. And I guess 3, you don't know necessarily how the game is, whereas, a month later, there's a pretty good consensus of how people think the game is, as opposed to just day 1. So yeah, we'll see. Somebody's saying they don't think their 1050 Ti can run that. I don't know. It might be able to. I think they're saying a 9. It requires. Yeah, I'll have to have an upgrade. The requires a 960, I think, for minimum requirements. But they may have a lot of tricks too, where you could run it at. I don't know. Maybe they add like dynamic resolution, in which case, out of all the games, that might not be such a bad fit. To have dynamic resolution. Oh, it looks more pixelated. Oh, too bad we're only playing like an 80s inspired kind of cyberpunk game. Gee, oh no, look at all those pixels. That might actually work well with it thematically. I mean, I'm guessing they might have dynamic resolution. I have no idea. So, okay, so should keep moving on here. Oh, did I lose my spot? Yeah, here we go. Have you ever considered doing a video series on any movies, TV shows you think would be worth talking about? I guess, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I feel like that's the sort of thing that's probably pretty well covered already from internet people or the YouTubers. And I guess see, the thing to understand is like, I even now I see Freeman's Mind and Game Dungeon as kind of a compromise. Whereas what I'd really like to do is more stuff like Civil Protection or just more involved storylines and coming up with original plots and characters, that sort of thing. Like if I had no financial worries and wasn't worried about like kind of, I guess, burning fan support a little bit because they wanted the existing series more, then that's probably what I'd be doing more of, is just this kind of longer storyline based stuff that it takes longer, but it could be pretty neat. More like kind of conventional movies sort of thing. I mean, they wouldn't have a conventional movie feel, I guess, necessarily, or plot, but like a storyline. So, I mean, that's kind of what I preferred. I feel like if I'm going to take on more stuff, that's what I would rather drift towards. So the movie is kind of my sort of line in the sand where, okay, no matter how much things get set back or how much I have to keep grinding videos out, I'm going to make that the way I want to. So that'll give me some catharsis, I think. But yeah, maybe I could, I don't know. Okay, as I'm getting older, I'm becoming more aware of trying to like rein in my ambitions a little bit, because you've seen how long some of the videos can take. So I'm trying to really pick my targets more and more with what I'm working on. So my sense of how long things will take to create is probably always going to be horrible, but I think I'm getting a little bit better at it. So, hey, the Christmas episode wasn't late, even though it was later than I wanted to. Yeah, the Halloween episodes, the Thanksgiving episode, and the Christmas episode were all not late. Though, again, they could all have been better, though. I mean, I'm happy with how some of them came out, but it would have been great if those had been out like 2 or 3 days before the holiday. That's what I would have preferred, but they made it on time. So I'm slowly getting better with my time estimates. How often do you get to talk to your parents back in the States? I haven't seen them in person since the wedding, but I talk to them on Skype. Actually, usually once like every 1 or 2 weeks. So it's fairly frequent, I guess. In a way that's better too, because with my mother and I find that we tend to get along fine if we're just together for about a day. And then past 1 day, there tends to be a lot of friction. So it's just inevitable. I don't even know why, or just like, it's just you know. So, but yeah, if we're not together for much more than a day, then we tend to get along fine. So, do you microwave your beans or cook them on the stove? On the stove. Okay, so I'm taking the food question as a sign that I should pick and choose the questions from this point onward. What are your plans for the 2020s? Let's see. Oh, and what is your approach to commentary versus narration and Game Dungeon? I'm finding that some episodes are focused on analysis, whereas others are tours of the games, sort of like an abridged Let's Play. It just, well, the second part, it just depends where the game's taking me. I mean, some things just spur other thoughts that I feel like, you know what, I should just pursue this thought and just throw it in the video. Others, it's more of a presentation. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. I thought I had it figured out. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing with Game Dungeon, but my goal, whether I hit the goal or not, my goal is to have it as entertaining as I can make it. So that's the goal. Whether I get there, that's another question. But and plans for 2020s. Okay. Well, I mean, for the decade, geez, that's a lot of things could happen with that. But okay, my plans. Who knows what's gonna? Assuming things don't change radically, which I think they could for the 2020s. Okay, well, for this year, I want to get all those side videos out. Keep pushing ahead of Freeman's Mind. Get a couple key game dungeons out. For geez, I could almost see a follow-up not even happening this year. I mean, not for Game Dungeon, but for the Games as a Service video. However, I want to nail down every possible route I can do for trying to like take action against the Games as a Service where they're destroying games. And I think I have unfortunately I got set back because I'm doing other stuff, but I think I have a legitimate opening in France to do that. And I have to pursue that. See, the update video actually isn't that important so much as actually taking the actions towards doing that. So if this is something where I need, fans to kind of all contact this one organization, then I'll make a video pretty rapidly on that. But just sort of the general follow-up to the feedback and what's happened on the Games as a Service video, that might happen this year, but again, it's lower priority than, the video's lower priority than the actual action. So the action is high priority for me. So that's the video is more like the report. So, yeah, well, okay, at some point, some of this, okay, I'm not gonna say everything here because some of these are related to the side videos that I wanna do. That they're just kind of increasing in pressure. So I'm leaving out some of my plans. Look, eventually I want a full VR setup where I can, have some sort of locomotion option that's not just room scale. I think ideally it would be like a 360 kind of treadmill, which is like this inverted dome. But actually, I heard there were like these special shoes that people could use in a swivel chair. That might be a more economical option, especially if I have less space. But yeah, I eventually want to get to a point where I'm just visiting other worlds in VR just all the time. I mean, like, or daily almost. So, I like this comment. Hire a team already, Ross, so you can focus on creativity. Oh, sure. You want to sign their checks? Like, yeah, I'd be happy to. Yeah, who's paying their? Should I tell them to contact you about the checks then, for the paychecks? Yeah. You can handle the payment portion of that then. Let's let's see. Yeah, I'm probably going to move to Windows 10 this year. What are some other things I want to do? That's for 2020. Oh yeah, well, oh yeah, okay, for 2020s, hey, I'll promise that. Movies coming out in the 2020s, all right? Not sure exactly which year, but it's coming out. Maybe multiple movies, if we're talking about the decade. So yeah, I can commit to that level of time bracket. So I'm far enough along to commit to within the decade. And sorry if this is pissing off people seeing me laugh about this. That's all I can do, man. I'm gonna keep going forward though. Yeah, okay. Well, those are some of my plans. But let's, you know what? Life and world events could make me alter my plans substantially, and maybe it's looking more like the Cold Tycoon episode where I'm researching intentional communities. So it's hard to say. Okay, ping questions. Oh, somebody's asking about the "you're in the barrel" joke. Well, hey, ask Valve. See, that's the thing. I was reacting to a version of that joke I heard. What was... Boy, that would be a fun interview if somebody wants to if somebody has connections to Valve. It's like, oh yeah, in Half-Life, would you care to clarify what you meant by "you're in the barrel" today? Like, see how they react to that. So that was kind of the funny part of that, is that that's something people probably gloss over, but the origin is... there's more there. So, okay, let's see. Any plans of making a follow-up Game Dungeon video? Yeah, it might come out this month. But like this, I promise work will be advancing on it this month, and I have something cool but it's gonna take time. I haven't decided if I want to just make this one more of a normal follow-up or have something extra in it. But the cool thing will either be in follow-up 3 or 4. I'll say that. Well, cool from my perspective, I guess. And some people might find it boring, but yeah, I promise to have work advanced on the follow-up episode this month. But it may or may not come out this month. I'd say it's pretty safe to say it'll come out either January or February, though. Okay. You have 2 different categories for prison games. Ones you can beat eventually if you're locked in a jail cell with nothing else to do, and one's meant for dangerous criminals that are nigh impossible to beat. Will keep them locked away a long time. What category does Harry Buster fit in? Well, that was... Harry Buster would be a misdemeanor, or Harry Buster would just be like the equivalent of like the drunk tank, you know, just, okay, we need to hold you overnight. I'm sure if I threw a couple out, okay, from what I was seeing, I think if I threw a couple more hours at it, I could beat it. I mean, it's nothing, the difficulty compared to some of the other things I've seen. I mean, yeah, Harry Buster would be the drunk tank, you know. They just lock you up and then they let you go in the morning. That was... Harry Buster would be for fraud. Yeah, well, he was doing something with the stocks. He's certainly manipulating the market. Yeah, I guess his offspring were certainly manipulating the market. I guess, can you tie that back to him, though? I mean, he's just kind of standing there staring at him, so... What was your favorite Game Dungeon episode so far and why? I don't know. I guess ones I was less rushed in. I mean, I don't know. Let's... I guess ones that came out just how I wanted them to. Well, but it's a combination of that and the game having kind of a nice atmosphere, and those two aren't always the same thing. Like, well, I was happy with how Phantasmagoria came out. That probably ended up being like the longest episode. I mean, I chopped down that one a lot to just what I felt like had to be in there. That was a lot. So, but that wasn't. But at the same time, I kind of do prefer almost the Game Dungeon episodes where they spark other thoughts and it just ends up going in another direction. So, yeah, we'll see. I never know. I frequently don't know where it's going to go myself. So, yeah, I don't know. I may mix up the Game Dungeon style some more. I'll have to figure it out. Figure out what. Yeah, somebody's mentioning Strife. I enjoyed Strife, but Strife is a little less out there. The ones that can get kind of out there could be fun, but at the same time, Armed and Delirious is almost too out there. So, yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to say. There's some I like more or less. Like Harry Buster's not my favorite. I'll say that. It was just sort of Harry Buster wasn't even supposed to be that long, but I was pretty happy with Messiah. I mean, the game was a mix, but how it came out. And the Phantasmagoria one. Veil of Darkness is sort of the... I would consider like par for the course. Like, maybe not my favorite. It's good enough. I like the Contraption Zack one, the Mabus one. The Chosen was not my favorite, but it had some real oddities in there. I like the Chosen probably has my favorite ending of any episode. I think The Chosen is my favorite ending, you know, right before the credits. So. Okay, so yeah, I should move on. Let's see. Okay, somebody's asking about merchandise. Maybe that's where I am on. I mean, my heart just isn't into it like it is for other things. Maybe once I get less busy, because the thing about merchandise is that's more work. Even once it's set up, it's more work. You know, it's so. I'd rather that work be going towards the video. See, the great thing about a lot of the videos is once I make them, they're made. You know, they're up on YouTube, and I don't really. Yeah, I might have to maybe want to do a follow-up later or respond to some emails. Which that's a New Year's resolution. Get on top of the emails. Yeah, that's definitely okay. That's a fair resolution because I definitely need to do that. Okay, see, a lot of people are liking Spiderbot. Okay, well, see, see, I should take that into consideration because there's other surreal Commodore 64 stuff out there. I mean, it was by no means the only one. Some of those games got trippy. I'll have to look into it some more. Commodore 64, it's not as high. It's like an ocean of games. There's so many out there that I don't know about. So I mean, there's just thousands, I think. So there's a lot to pull from. So. Where did you go to college and what did you study? How informative was it for you, for what you do now or how you think? Geez. Well, I went to college in multiple places. I tended to have this pattern of going to college for a year, then not being sure if that's what I wanted to do. So then I'd work for 6 months to a year, then go back to college for a year, then repeat, go work again. And that kind of helped pay for it at the time, though now it's spiraling out of control as far as cost, is from my understanding. But, okay, so the colleges I've gone to, James Madison University, Art Institute of Pittsburgh. I just had like sort of a couple courses at, was it in Christian? I think it was New River Community College, and to get credits, and then I graduated from Radford University. And my majors shift, again, I graduated with a major in criminal justice and minor in psychology. And, but I think I had, I think like sound engineering might have been a major at one point, but it almost didn't matter because I was just doing general education classes at first. Art Institute of Pittsburgh, it was film related, and ironically, that predates YouTube. And while I was there, I definitely got the sense that, I mean, I always knew you had, doing something artistically related was kind of a long shot because it could be really competitive and not pay well. But the sense I got there was it was a lot more about networking with the right people than any sort of talent that you had. So, but see, that was before YouTube, and YouTube sort of opened up the gates on that slowly. So, basically, what I'm doing now wasn't even an option then, and I basically came away from doing. I forget exactly what the exact title was, but it was film related, like media technologies or something. Artist Pittsburgh. What? I lost my train of thought. The oh yes. So I basically came away convinced that this was not a realistic career. That I wasn't going to be able to make a living doing this, and I should just kind of stick to it as just hobby stuff, which is what I did for civil protection. So when I graduated from Radford, I went in there with the attitude was basically that I wasn't sure I was going to enjoy any job that I was doing. So in light of that, I at least wanted to end up at a job where I wasn't going to be bored, which was what was making me lean. Yeah, I know it seems insane looking at me, but now leaning towards law enforcement, like on a local level, because hey, you never know how the day's going to go in a job like that. So, but then I did the civil protection, and that won a $1,000 award from this machinima contest where I won best of show. And that kind of made me hold off a little bit. So that's what made me go do security work instead to kind of bide my time. Because I thought, well, geez, maybe I can do something with this if it's going that well. Maybe I could do more of this. So that kind of made me want to hold off from doing so. But in the meantime, okay, security, that's if it ends up not working out like this, well, that's a good sort of resume builder for something towards law enforcement. So, but yeah, how informative was it for what you do now? Not very much at all. However, I guess what you need, probably the best, I guess what I would recommend from that is, see, college is so expensive, so maybe there's better ways to do it. But, well, community college wasn't too bad. The most valuable part, I guess, was taking classes for things that you find interesting, even if they're not necessarily practical, because that gives me a larger pool of things to talk about and think about, which that definitely helps. So basically having different experiences that are memorable and discussions about different thoughts and events, that part I did find helpful. But as far as the applicability to my current job, not much at all. Yeah, if I was going to give advice regarding college, I'd say, they kind of hit on this in, was it Good Will Hunting, the movie, that like if you kind of know the job you want to go into, study the skills. You can probably figure it out yourself. I mean, through online courses or stuff like that. It's maybe if there's really specialist stuff that you might have to do college courses. Well, that's what I did to save money when I graduated is I was able to test out of a couple classes, and then I got the credit from the community college ones to transfer over. So yeah, so what you might want to do to save money is study. If you know what you want to go into, just study it, learn skills, take online courses. Probably a bunch of them are free. And then once you get to the high level stuff, maybe there's some stuff that you really do have to be credentialed. Go in, maybe you can test out of a bunch of stuff or get credits from someplace cheap like community college and do it that way. And then just figure out, I don't know, try to figure out what you should be doing with your life. And if you have no clue, hey, one thing I was actually leaning towards at one point was just having job that might have been kind of more out there. Like I was literally I didn't pursue it that much, but I was doing some research to see like, oh, maybe I could work at a job like for like a season at like a park ranger, or like research work maybe up in the Arctic or something like that. That would kind of be like an interesting experience, something like that. So maybe figure out something like that, I guess, if you're would be my advice. I mean, I ended up not doing that, but just something that's kind of you've had in the back of your mind, like, hey, this might be interesting to try out. And yeah, and if you could earn money for it, all the better. I mean, I mean, I've heard people say like, oh, just travel. Man, travel's expensive. Like I mean, so yeah, if you can get like a seasonal work somewhere that might be really atypical kind of job that you might find interesting, yeah, might be worth following up, And it's so much easier doing hard work where you may not necessarily like the job that much if you know it's temporary. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do this job and then, hey, this job's starting to suck. But you know what? I'm only here another month or two and I'll just make the money and then, hey, I'll figure out what I want to do afterwards. That's what you can be thinking about while you're doing the job that you hate. Or maybe not hate. Yeah, it's good to avoid jobs you hate if you have any option at all. But, what ones that, yeah, I'd rather be doing something else, ones like that. Okay, that sort of veered off. Let's see. Beans question, I'm going to skip. You ever feel like you should just postpone Freeman's Mind 2 while you're making the movie and resume it till you're comfortable? No, in fact, it's the opposite. I feel like I sometimes think I should just power down and just grind through Freeman, do nothing but Freeman's Mind and go insane a little bit. And then once it's done, I go back to a slower pace of Game Dungeon and then do the movie. But it's both because, again, I have to balance practicality with what I prefer to be doing. And movie's going to take a long time, and I don't think it's going to earn much money at all. I mean, it's going to be free, like the other YouTube videos. So, I mean, it's possible, depending on the asset, it's possible I may not even be able to monetize it. I'm not sure. So, yeah, I'd rather work on something for a year or two and finish it. But if that's not going to earn any money, well, then I need to do it. And even though I get fan donations, fans aren't gonna be thrilled if it's been like a year and I don't have a new video, So it's a juggling act, unfortunately. So I'm making progress though, and hey, you guys will get a report next month. And I really hope it's optimistic on the animation front. I'm gonna have some video samples for you. Okay. But that might be on a Curse Farms Junk channel. Okay. I lost my place. Okay, so I'll just read from... Okay, no, I found my place. Let's see. In the early days of Freeman's Mind, where did you get the idea for Freeman's pompous, self-serving, I'm better than everyone here type attitude? That ran a risk of turning off potential viewers. No, I wanted Freeman. I knew if I was gonna have a prayer of getting through the Half-Life games, or just even the first one, Freeman needed to be an extremely dynamic personality. I mean, just all sorts of aspects to him that he's like a powder keg, you know. So, because if he's too plain, it's not going to have the fuel to get through the game. That people are going to get bored of it. So, yeah, I want. So I was thinking, and also I was thinking, well, what sort of person could actually survive this? And I was thinking, someone who really is paranoid. Yeah, that actually would be good, and someone who maybe has some moral flexibility, because I mean, they put you through the ringer in Half-Life that, is just, you kind of want, if a character is going to survive all that, you kind of do want this me first attitude for the character. I mean, for what the game presents to you, I mean, because if you're trying to save the scientist, well, the game doesn't even let you do that, really. So, or stuff like that. So I kind of wanted Freeman to just be, yeah, I wanted him a powder keg. Just, you're not sure what he's going to do. But I mean, he obviously has some personality traits, but he has a high range too. Oh yeah, and this question got deleted, but I saw it before it got deleted, so I can answer it quick. They were asking if I was a miser. And the real easy answer is the less I have, the more miserly I am. And the opposite is true too. If I'm doing fine or great financially, then I tend to be much more generous or not worry about expenses as much. But it's like a sliding scale. But yeah, I mean, if it's to the point where I have to budget down to the dollar every month for for rent, food expenses, and everything, then yeah, I can be kind of tight-fisted, because the problem is it becomes a survival thing, I mean, economic survival thing, where because you were so stringent earlier, this is it. I've had experiences like this where if I hadn't been careful with my money, then things that happened 2 years later would have just ruined me. I mean, that's the reason I was able to ride out the machinima crash. That's the reason I was able to ride out multiple the machinima crash and the YouTube crash. I think by the second one I did the begathon. Like I couldn't handle a barrage of crashes, but I was able to handle a couple and keep going because I had saved money and been frugal and just kind of economical. But I take no joy in that. So it's that's not the point of things to me. It's more like that's a what's the word I'm looking for? Cultivated economic survival tactic that's just become more natural to me. So, but at the same time, I'm not like that with everything. Like I am a believer in spending more to buy like a quality part that's going to last a real long time. Yeah, so I might be a little more long-term miser. So I am a believer in spending more if that means you're actually spending less in the long term. So if you're gonna go real cheap and then the thing breaks in 6 months, well, that's not really good. But whereas if you go like above, not extravagant, but above average to get quality stuff and that lasts you 10 years, well, then that's the better investment on buying something. So, no, I guess the easiest way to put it, if I felt like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if like food, shelter, water, like let's say medical health, that sort of thing, if that was assured and I did not have to worry about it at all, I wouldn't care. Then I could be loose with money. Fine, it'd be fine. It's hard for me to turn that off completely in my mind. So, yeah. Okay, so I should keep moving on. Let's see. But yeah, it is fair to accuse. If I'm doing rough economically, then yes, I can be miserly. I admit it. But would you consider doing a podcast or stream with John Graham? Sure, they want me on. I don't really seek out podcasts for the most part, although I might make an exception for like the stopping the games as a service stuff, because if I felt like appearing in this place would really advance that, then yeah, for sure, I want to move forward on. But I'm generally open to it. I mean, it's not. But yeah, I mean, I'm not really seeking out like I have to appear on this podcast. I'd rather just be playing a game or working on another video, so. Okay, somebody's asking about my hours related to work. I think I realized later I may have highballed it a little bit when I was asking, like at the time when I was asking me like how many hours do I work a week, it was definitely, 70 was definitely a fair estimate. But I realized like after, and I was doing definitely more than that leading up to the holiday episodes where it was way too high. But after that, yes, I did scale back to, it was probably more like 6 to 8 hours a day. So I'm not sure what my yearly average would be. And if there's like an event like I'm going to or something, then I may not get any work done that day. So, but that's not usually planned. I definitely don't take weekends off or anything like that. I mean, I try to be working every day on stuff, but 10 hours a day is fair if there's nothing else interrupting me and I haven't been burned out by having to go higher than that recently. And then it just scatters. So maybe it's more like 8 hours a day or 7 or something. But it is every day. It's not like 5 days and then I take the weekends off. So it varies a lot. But, well, if there are spikes that vary a lot. The average probably doesn't vary that much, I'd say. That's the better way to put it. Oh yeah, this was a good question. If you didn't make videos, what would you do instead? Have you considered learning computer programming or some other computer-related skill? Why did you start making videos? Was that always a passion for you? Would you be passionate about something else like software development? There's a lot of questions. Well, yeah, I started making, I enjoy videos, I enjoy movies, so yeah, I wanted to do that. But let's see. For what would I be doing instead? Man, that's a tough question because I'm not even sure I know. Okay, multiple thoughts on this. One, probably the job that I enjoyed the most or disliked the least, that all the ones I've done was probably computer repair, where, you're just working at a shop, people bring in their systems and you fix it. But at the same time, those tend not to have like high career ladders. That's almost a little bit like the equivalent of like fast food of the tech world. Yeah, it's different than flipping burgers, but it doesn't pay that much differently. In fact, I think there have been multiple points where I was earning less than that than somebody probably would at McDonald's or Burger King or something. So that might not have been great career material, even though I would have enjoyed it more. What was I gonna say? Programming, I probably wouldn't get into it. I mean, well, according to my dad, who is a programmer, he says I have enough of what it takes to be a competent programmer. And he's not somebody who would throw that out. I mean, he didn't say great programmer, but he said competent. He's not someone who would just throw that around just to make me feel better or anything like that. So, but I don't know. My heart's not really into, I mean, to be honest, programming and computers in general, I've always seen it as like well, maybe not always, but for now, for sure, I always see it as like a means to an end, where I don't really enjoy the programming process or the troubleshooting process or getting all the computer stuff set up, but I really like what I can make come from that. So I don't see myself going into programming necessarily. I mean, I can see all sorts of creative stuff that I might want to do, but at the same time, that may not be a smart idea as far as a career. I could see myself kind of enjoying kind of art, but I probably wouldn't have the chops to make it doing just art like painting or sculpting or anything like that. But I don't think I'd be good enough. But even then, even then, it's really competitive. But I mean, that's probably what I would enjoy more. But that said, having done videos for a long time and all the kind of hell jobs I've had, the thought of doing, unless it was just fantastic circumstances, the thought of doing another 9-to-5 job where it's just like you got to be up there every day and or 5 days a week and always at that time, and you have to go through the commute and everything. That stuff wears me down. And okay, look, I've thought about this before, and it's still not necessarily what I would have ended up, but I think if I hadn't met, my wife and my videos had like no real success to them, there's there's honestly, I'd say above average chance I would have pursued. I was only kind of half joking in the Cult Tycoon episode. I would have pursued one of those intentional communities because, I mean, yeah, 99% of them I would not have been interested in. But that 1%, yeah, because it's not that I'm against hard work or anything, but there's something about a lot of jobs that just sucks the soul out of you. Whereas if you feel like you're kind of working for yourself and other people you know, and you're kind of like everybody, people are kind of doing their part for one another. Well, that's a real different feeling. And then yeah, you don't have to work as fast and efficiently as possible. You can do it slowly, whatever. The job, as long as the job gets done. And I really would kind of crave that kind of more casual atmosphere. I mean, geez, I think they've largely dwindled, I think. But if they were more common, I could almost see myself wanting to work at the carnival or something like that, because I like that kind of more fun, jovial atmosphere, even if there can be like a lot of hard work behind that. But again, there's a lot less of that sort of thing. So yeah, I think in a different lifetime, I might have been working at a carnival somewhere. So I think I lean more towards that than computer programming. So I don't know where I'd be. That's the honest answer, because in some way, I don't think that was the sole cause, but in some ways, I think that might have contributed to when I had like major depression, is feeling like I was going to be kind of trapped in this sort of more oppressive atmosphere kind of job. So, but yeah, I think in a different lifetime would have been at a carnival. And probably not good enough to be at like the big circus or something, because but the local fair, yeah, I could hack that, doing rides or being a clown or something. So, or a dunk tank, Okay, or just setting the tents up, I mean, just doing the grunt work. I mean, I like that atmosphere then. So. Okay. Something about Christmas games. Okay, this person's recommending the Yakuza series. A lot of people have recommended that. I might try it eventually. I'll see. I sort of have to be in the right mood for like just a straight up sort of crime game or movie. I mean, I do like it occasionally, but I tend to prefer like more escapist stuff where it's like just fantasy or science fiction, that sort of thing. But every once in a while, I do kind of like. I think I do want to play. Was it Sleeping Dogs eventually? So the Yakuza is probably in the same sort of ballpark as that kind of game. But yeah, it comes and goes. So, I may not really feel like it again until another year or two. That sort of thing. Somebody says, I think the Yakuza are crime games. Yeah, you're right. I do think that was my understanding, that the Yakuza was a crime game. So was Grand Theft Auto. So maybe I'm wrong on that. But yeah, they fooled me. The presentation fooled me. So okay, let's see. I have not seen the movie The Lighthouse. Sounds like it's just come out. So the only brand new movie I saw recently, Mago wanted to see something for New Year's, or I thought we'd see something for my birthday, but she wasn't feeling up to it for my birthday, so we ended up doing it for New Year's. We saw the new Jumanji. It was, if you like the previous one, you should like the new one. I'll say that it's quite similar, and one part kind of reminded me of an idea I had for a different video I wanted to do. So the part, I'll say the part with the bridges was kind of similar with what I wanted to do for sort of a short idea I had. So, oh, I did. Oh yeah, I did see the Joker actually. Somebody's saying that. Although yeah, it's a slow movie. The easiest way to sum it up is if you like Taxi Driver, then you should like the Joker. It's almost like, hey, let's remake Taxi Driver just in the Batman world. Like, there you go. So, yeah, I mean, it almost is a remake, just about. I mean, it's well done, but I guess it wasn't really my favorite though, because in a way it was a little too real for me. It's again going back to the escapism thing. I mean, without revealing too much, the character has a lot of completely believable problems, and the environment he's in is again just highly believable, and it's just sort of a bummer. And it sort of reminds you how it's just sort of a reminder how rough life can be. So that's not the kind of movie I seek out, even though it has great scenes. Like, I love the ending subway scene in the Joker. I love scenes where just chaos breaks out, and man, they nailed that. Again, I'm trying not to reveal too much about it. Let's see, oh yeah, I was gonna mention, it's not that intense, but what I would say, like, the hardest book I've ever read, like, it was just rough for me to read, was The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. And it's basically about an immigrant family that is just kind of dealing with what I think it was either early 1900s or late 1800s, I forget, but just the sort of economic situation at that time. And man, that book is just gut wrenching. It is just rough for me to get through. So, I mean, I found that harder to read than 1984. So it's, I'm not, that's not what on one hand, it's well done, and I guess it's good stuff like that's being made. And for sure, some people that's going to speak to a lot more. For me, again, I can like my escapism. So if it's just, yeah. In the comments there, thank God we're not going into another horrible financial decade. Exactly. I mean, for people who are unaware of that stuff, then yeah, they definitely should see that stuff. But I don't feel like I'm in the crowd that, like, oh, I had no idea things were like this. No. Yeah, that's not even a criticism of the Joker, that it's kind of too real. It's more like just not my taste kind of thing. But it's well done, yeah. And if you like Taxi Driver, just go watch it. That's 100% recommendation if you like Taxi Driver. And hey, it has Robert De Niro in there too, which I think was no accident. So. Oh yeah, oh man. Oh, okay, wait, I missed some questions. Okay, you recently revealed your age. Did you decide keeping a secret was no longer fun? No, it wasn't even about fun. It was just, originally I was worried that I would just lose views on Freeman's Mind, but with Game Dungeon getting solidified enough that I'm not worried about that anymore. So if everybody loses interest in Freeman's Mind, fine, I'll do Game Dungeon. So, no, I'm not. I have almost no vanity about my age. My wife gets more distressed about my age than I do. So, let's see. Where do you see yourself in the next decade? Boy, that's a tough question. That's like asking, I feel like historically, that's like asking people in the 1920s or maybe the 1930s, where do they see themselves in a decade? I mean, it's like, I think so many things could happen that it's, it's hard surviving. I'll say that. Hey, the movie will be done and I'll be surviving. That's where I see myself. So. Well, I think I can commit to those two. Everything else could get pretty open-ended. I hope I'm still making videos and I'm enjoying a taste of VR worlds every day. But we'll see what's... I'm not... I'm someone who can see potential for a lot of change. I'll say that. Oh... This is a good question, but I didn't have like a great answer about it. Somebody's saying, well, what's my favorite lore or fictional history that I liked enough to learn more about? I guess the most I've done, okay, I read the manual to, was it The Signal from Tolva? Yeah, if you present your lore in an easy to read manual, that's a great way for me to read it. If it's the sort of thing I have to seek out, then I may not as much. I'm definitely, I still need to play more of it. I've only barely played it, is Sunless Sea. I'm interested in learning more of that one. Probably the most I've done has actually been, from the Warhammer 40K stuff, because again, some of that lore is ridiculously well written for being a tabletop game about characters in oversized armor and swords, attacking each other. That's what I'll say. The lore is so much better than it has any need to be. That's how I would put it. I mean, some of it gets incredibly imaginative, and I really like that. Especially when they talk about all these different worlds and how the societies can function on the different worlds and these phenomena out in space. I mean, some of that can be a really great example of science fantasy, where you're not too worried about, where yeah, there is some science fiction realism aspect to it, but other stuff we just throw that out the window. But the reason we're throwing it out the window is because we're going to come up with these awesome phenomena or these weird scenarios that are really interesting. So to me, that's the best. That's some of the best use of fantasy, is to just kind of make it more interesting, And somebody's asking about Half-Life Alyx. We'll watch the last video chat, the December one. I talked about that one towards the beginning. It was after the Kappa stuff. Oh, and they asked, are you worried it might be too gimmicky? I think, okay, I could be wrong. I think that game will be very gimmicky. However, it could still be a solid game underneath that, but I would be amazed if that game is not very gimmicky, because they want to show off their motion controls and stuff. So they're gonna just, I would be surprised if they don't just cram that down your throat. Yeah, and somebody's saying Half-Life 2 itself was kind of gimmicky. Yeah, it kind of was. So I think they're gonna take that and just go even farther with it. But I mean, I'll probably play it eventually. Although, and somebody's saying someone gifted me a VR set or two. Look, well, I sold the DK1 actually once I got the DK. I have the DK2. I'm not equipped to play Half-Life Alyx because I don't have any controllers. This is why I say I'm always doing tests in VR. I can't just grab, yeah, here's my controllers. I have a pen here. It's, I mean, so I can see the DK2, but I don't have another VR set yet. But at the same time, even if Alyx wasn't even coming out, I was gonna get a VR set. However, look, it reminds me so much, I probably said this before, of, it's like video cards in the late 90s. Like if you bought except they're more expensive. So, I mean, if you bought well, no, actually some of them are, some of them aren't. if you bought a video card back then, how long before the new games are just outpacing that sucker? Well, that's how VR is. And with the headsets they're coming out, I mean, what, the DK2 does like 1080 resolution, and then the Pimax 8KX has dual 4K panels or something now, and like a much wider field of view, and it might not even have screen door effect. I'm not sure for that one. So I mean, the technology is just flying forward. And whereas if you buy a video card now, it's probably gonna last a while. I mean, well, okay, there's another console generation coming out that can always make things jump a bit, but well, CPUs. I mean, CPUs might be a better example for gaming. If you bought a pretty good gaming CPU 5 years ago, it's probably still a pretty good gaming CPU. I mean, there's been a lot of developments with like Ryzen and more cores, but that's more for just, the benefits of that are more for heavy duty processing, you know, like rendering or encoding, that sort of thing. I mean, for gaming, if you have threads, it's not, it's slowed down. Whereas VR, man, it's like as soon as you buy, I mean, what, the Pimax 8KX has come out after the Valve Index, and it sounds like it might topple the Valve Index for image quality and resolution and comfort. So, I mean, and that's the thing, different ones are better in different ways, but and well, the other thing holding me back is Windows 10. I'm gonna have to probably move to that to get one. Though, again, I think the best sit and wait option is probably the sit and wait. In other words, I don't know which one's gonna be the best, but if you're just gonna get one right now, and so you kind of don't want to spend too much, the Samsung Odyssey Plus might be the best. That one got down to like $220, I think, on Black Friday and Christmas sales. Something like that, but again, you do need Windows 10. So. And it has the same resolution as the Valve Index, though it doesn't have the same subpixel stuff, but it's one of the best for screen door effects. But yeah, but yeah, okay, yeah, I got off on the VR thing again. Somebody's asking what's the first science fiction book that really made you think. I don't know. It's a prize. Oh, okay. Well, it was, okay, I saw the movie, but I was kind of young when I saw it. The Planet of the Apes, seeing the ending, I remember I was like, whoa. But I was a kid then, so. I think age has something to do with it too. You know, if you're a certain age, some ideas are gonna blow your mind more. So for those who haven't, the original Planet of the Apes, with the movie with Charlton Heston. If you haven't seen it, the ending has a twist, you know. But geez, how old was I when I might have been like 8 or something. I don't know, or 7. Huh? Russ, do you watch any cartoons? Yeah, if I like the theme and the writing. I've heard I need to catch up on it. For a while, I was watching Aqua Teen Hunger Force, C-Lab 2021, I think. What? A lot of people said Arthur is good. I'll probably check out some more. Yeah. Right, okay, I'll answer. This didn't have many votes, but I'll answer it. What are your predictions for oil in the 2020s? Will there be an oil crisis this decade, or is it still a decent amount of time off? Okay, I'm gonna repeat this in the follow-up episode, so I guess you're gonna minor spoiler. I realized something I didn't think about. If we have a crippling economic depression, we may not even notice the oil problem, because that's really the first immediate threat of an oil crisis, is just the wheels of industry just sort of seize up, because the cost, so many industries, the cost that doesn't work the way it used to, or getting goods from point A to point B is no longer as economical, then that triggers a massive economic depression that we don't easily get out of. However, that can beat oil. That can beat oil demand to the punch. You know, we can absolutely have an economic crash before oil would trigger one. So in which case I barely notice because industry's seized up already. So guess what? We're using less oil. So that buys more time. But the problem is we're of course ending up in the same place we were gonna go with that. But yeah, no, I think, look, what did I say in the video? I'd be amazed if we don't have a major problem with this within 10 years. So yeah, I'll revise that to say, okay, when did I release that one? Let's see. What year was that? I think it was like 2015, okay, I think it was 2016. So that will give us to 2016. So yeah, I'd say that's I'd say it's less fair to either, but I'll amend it and say that I think it's either like an oil crisis or an economic crisis that dwarfs what we've seen so far, except maybe the Great Depression. So yeah, one of those two, because I realized I thought about that. It's like, oh yeah, the main risk, immediate risk, the long-term risk, there's other problems with you staying on oil. But is that we're not ready for it once demand out exceeds production. So, and I see the link there. Yeah, the URL, you probably see this in the video. Don't let the koalas seduce you. They're infested with chlamydia. It sounds like the chat's has its own take on this. So, yeah, I think we are gonna. Oh yeah, and I need to find out who said this, because you know that's the problem with sometimes listening to podcasts or something. You hear something interesting and this person sounds very competent and they explain their facts and everything, and then you forget who that was or what that video was from. So there was hearsay from someone who sounded very competent, but they were talking about something else, but just in passing, they mentioned this professor who is predicting that the US dollar will cease being the world reserve currency by 2030. Now, again, there's always guesswork with this. However, all I can say is the person who is on the podcast sounded quite competent. So for him to name drop this other person means there might be something there. So I want to research who that was and try to follow their logic on it and see what that's based on, what that prediction would look like. That would definitely stir things up, you know, if the dollar ceased being the world reserve currency. And I have checked, another thing I have heard, geez, okay, I might be getting the times wrong. I want to say Russia has quadrupled its gold reserves in the past 10 years or something. That sounds like a getting yourself situated for the future kind of move, for future trouble kind of move. So, no, I don't think it was Noam Chomsky. Okay, I think the person I was listening to was Chris Hedges on an interview, and then he name dropped some other professor, and I don't know who that was. So I'll figure it out eventually. So yeah, if you know some professor who's thinking the US dollar will cease being the world reserve currency in 2030, then yeah, maybe that sounds like worthy of. Yeah, I mean, nobody knows the exact date or anything like that, but you can follow the logic and you can see, is this something that, yes, this is going to happen over a certain length of time, but on this trajectory if we don't make big changes, or is this like, well, really iffy? Because oil is really in that camp of, yeah, it's going to happen at some point, barring miracle technology or barring just massive shift globally in how we handle infrastructure and transportation. Okay, somebody's saying Richard Wolff. Maybe. I don't know if he was making that prediction, though. But, yeah, Richard Wolff's big thing is he likes to talk about the syndicalism, about ownership of workplaces. I've heard him talk about that a lot, but I don't know if he was making that prediction. Yeah, I don't know, but I think we have big changes coming one way or another, but what they are, or exactly when they hit. Or another example of things that I don't, yeah, feel free to email me on this, and any of that, but, rosswsky@gmail.com. One thing I also see is, I don't see this ending well, is like with the 2007 or 2008 economic recession, my understanding is we didn't really fix the core problems of that. I mean, that was at the least exacerbated, I think, by us kind of getting rid of Glass-Steagall, which is part of the regulations we put into place after the Great Depression to prevent another Great Depression from happening. And my understanding is Dodd-Frank didn't... See, again, I don't know this stuff. I'm just listening to other people who sound like they know what they're talking about. That's kind of... So I'm the sort of person who, you present me great evidence and reasoning, you can change my mind on things. I mean, well, most things. You're obviously not going to change my mind on value-based things, like you're not going to convince me destroying games is a good thing, like as an example, or book burning is a good thing, barring a impossible blizzard. But, just on things like what's the best explanation for what happened, or what's the best way for us to get from point A to point B with point B being better, that I can be pretty open-minded on. What? Everybody's saying Moon Ross. Okay. Now I lost my train of thought. But yeah, okay. So here's the question for optimists out there. What is going to prevent another crash that's worse from happening, that similar to 2007? Because my understanding from people who are much more studied on this sort of thing than I am is that we haven't fixed the fundamental problems of that. We just sort of stalled it. Put it off in the future, like like we bailed out the banks and things got sort of back to normal a little bit, but most people didn't recover from it. And then now they're even bigger than they were, and we don't have strong regulations to prevent something like what happened from happening again. Well, that sounds like a time bomb to me. So, I mean, if someone could give me a really detailed explanation of why, no, it's going to be okay because this triggers this and then that prevents this from happening. Okay, but I haven't heard much like that. Or if I have, here's a tip I'll give. For if you don't know much about something and there's two opposing sides, so you're not sure what's going on, you can judge, you may not know anything about this topic, but you can judge the logic of their arguments. So, okay, let's assume like what they're saying, point A is true, all right? And like, okay, well then does point B or C also seem true? Okay, let's say it seems true, but then the person is saying, well, no, point A is true, but that's not gonna happen because of this. Well, okay, that's another good counterpoint. So, but however, if the other person says, no, point A isn't true, and then it's verifiably true, well then that's huge credibility hit to the other side. Or let's say, I'm probably confusing everything now, but let's simplify it. Let's say somebody says, like, point A will happen, and that will lead to point B. Okay, and then, so the opposition says, well, no, point A isn't gonna happen because point C is happening right now, and there's no reason to think this would happen. And then the original person doesn't rebuttal that. They don't defend it. They just ignore it and move on to another topic, or use some, debating trickery or something, where they're not openly addressing that point. Well, to me, that makes the opposition seem way stronger if the first person doesn't address it. So, this is you can apply this to anything that you're not sure of. I mean, it doesn't always work, but you kind of want. Yeah, again, somebody who wins a debate may not have the truth at all. You have to. I mean, it depends how well the debate is structured, and I would love to see more debates with real moderators with teeth. In other words, they're calling out logical fallacies or something like that. So they're not questioning the points that they're making or the evidence, but it's like, well, wait a minute, you said this, but that's a fallacy for this, or we're not going to ad hominem attacks. We're just trying to come to like what's probably the truth. I mean, there are some of those, but I'd like to see more of those for kind of controversial topics. It's because I mean that's how you get to the truth of something, or the best a layman is going to get to the truth of something. If you don't know about the topic, well, fine. Who has these more convincing arguments? Okay, if this other person is wrong, well, person one says this, person two says that's wrong. Well, what does person one say to their accusation that that's wrong? Do they have a good, well, it's like, oh yes, I see what you're thinking of, but that actually doesn't apply here because X, Y, and Z. Well, then that kind of gives more sides more legitimacy. But then if they don't do that, you got to be able to defend your points. That's real. If somebody can just tear it down immediately, that doesn't make your side look good. So that's how I approach a lot of controversial topics or things I don't know much about. And then some things that are controversial just come down to value-based things, in which case you kind of know for yourself where you fall in that. Like, again, like I said, with the game preservation is a perfect example of, I mean, that's a real light example, but, I'm probably not, for people who just don't care about that, I'm probably not going to change their mind. And I can't really see anybody changing my mind that this is an acceptable practice, because, preventing the preservation of art or culture, I just see as kind of a wrong thing and would have to be, well, I mentioned in the video, okay, if you're burning books to survive, that's a good justification. That one's valid, But that's about where you need to take it. Okay, so I got way off track. I'll try and wrap this up with the submitted questions and take some live ones in a second. Okay. But yeah, I wanted to enter the prediction stuff. So yeah, I am open to information, but it's information that survives a challenge is the best kind, Multi-part videos. Oh, okay. Yeah, somebody's saying in the past to put out multi-part videos, and lately I've been putting out single massive ones. I'm curious why you moved away from that. It seems like you wouldn't have to work yourself to the bone as much. Well, yes, I did, because even the multi-part ones, I always put them out immediately. I mean, yeah, I could slow drip that, wait a week, but I don't want to do that to people. So it wouldn't be any less work, actually. The reason I stopped doing that is because my income shifted more towards donations rather than YouTube. So yeah, I can make a few extra bucks by splitting them up, but then the comments are split up. And if YouTube is the minority of my income, which it is now, then I'd rather just have the more full experience. Now, if people really wanted them split up, yeah, I could split them up. But I mean, I figure they might want to just pause them, come back to them another time if they're too long, that sort of thing. Let's see. I still haven't played the Oddworld games. Let's see. I've seen some of Kingdom Come Deliverance. The Forest, look, I probably want to, that strikes me as one of those games where I probably just don't really want to play the game. I just want to run around in it some to kind of see the forest levels. Although I think I saw that they they downgraded the graphics of the forest between the preview stuff, between the preview builds versus the final thing. So, but yeah, it struck me as sort of like Oblivion without the fantasy. And I don't know, I kind of like my fantasy elements. So I would probably play a lot more of that if it was a fantasy game. But it's historical fiction. So, but it looked like it was quite high quality. So, hey, that was one of the games I gave away when I did the streaming thing. Yeah. Well, they gave me a list to pick from, and I figured, yep, people are probably going to want that one. So, okay, I'm skipping some more here. Let's see. What ones that I don't have very great answers for? Let's see. Oh yeah, this one. Are you afraid of one day being targeted by corporations that are just crazy enough to arrange an accident for you one day? No, not at all. I thought that was kind of a good sort of discussion point where I don't think that's actually completely unrealistic. Probably less so from corporations. I think the bar you have to hit before a corporation or a government or something would actually want you eliminated is quite high, or else very specific. Okay, a perfect example of someone I could see under different circumstances being taken out would be somebody like Edward Snowden, where, yeah, he released stuff that was high level NSA stuff, and the whole war machine does not want that coming out, or stuff that documents, like, let's say there was an illegitimate war and there was hard evidence and you were reporting on that. Yeah, that actually could get you in the line of fire, I think. Something on that level. If you want to go full conspiracy theorist, who knows what happened with JFK and Oswald? Or another example, I've heard Martin Luther King Jr., apparently he was shifting towards speaking out against the Vietnam War around the time he was assassinated. Maybe completely unrelated, I don't know. But, well, that's why it's a conspiracy theory, it's not, but when it comes to, well, that's what Eisenhower was warning about in the Deus Ex video, where, or somebody talking about Oswald didn't kill himself. That's another point too, It's like, well, what, we wouldn't have higher security on Oswald than, for the man who assassinated the president? We don't want that highest possible security here. That's all speculation. I'm not knowledgeable enough on that, but I lost my train of thought. Okay. Yeah. Eisenhower was warning that was one of the most powerful forces on his, his farewell address, I think. It's the clip I showed in the Deus Ex video. So it's like if you are seriously threatening the sort of structure of power, then yeah, I think that could actually happen. But for anything less than that, I guess the exception would be, let's say in countries that in smaller countries that have a less stable situation. Again, maybe some in South America where maybe the latest ruler, or Africa, maybe the latest ruler could have been just a warlord who happened to take over. Then yes, you could maybe be more in the target for smaller things where the whole situation is just more dangerous overall. But yeah, for what I'm doing, no, I'm not even on the radar, man. It's not like I have access to any hidden knowledge here, nor am I trying to expose. I figure, you have one life, you have to choose what you do with it. I'm of course not in favor of the war machine, but at the same time, that stuff seems so much bigger than me. And I realize what I'm trying to do with games, stopping them from being destroyed is just not really important in the grand scheme of things. However, I feel like that's a level I can handle maybe, and EA's not going to put out a hit on me. Okay, don't worry about that. In fact, I would be shocked if they did any preparation for this legally, short of an actual court case coming up against them. I think that they just don't even care. So, I mean, and even then, they're not gonna come after me. They're gonna lawyer up and try to work the system. So, fine, I'm some guy on the internet. So, I mean, am I affecting sales to a massive degree? No, because, yeah, actually, they're probably, even then, I don't think they put a hit on them. They'll probably be more upset by people who just trash a brand new game that they've invested millions into on day one and make it look terrible. That's who they're not gonna really want. But even then, they're not gonna put hits on them. So, you know, because see what I'm doing, I mean, I meant what I said. The cost of not having your game destroyed, if that's part of the design phase, is just, it's inconsequential for major developers. Whereas the cost of just wall-to-wall negative reviews on YouTube as soon as your game that you've come out that they probably rushed and has bad design is multi-millions at least for them. So that's what they're gonna care about. But and this reminds me of a movie. It's a comedy, Head Office, where there was one scene where this former employee creates bad press for the company, and it's just like, well, I want him killed. And the CEO say, his advisor's like, that would be, it's just like, that would be inadvisable, sir. We're not authorized to do that, or something like that. Well, then fire him then. Like, you know, I think it's kind of more like, even though that's a comedy, I think it's probably more like that. You know. I mean, the worst corporations are going to do to people in the game industry is throw major lawsuits for anything that they feel like they can get their teeth on copyright-wise. So like people distributing ROMs or making a fan game. Yeah, I mean, stuff like that. That's what they're going to throw their full weight at. So. Let's see. But yeah, I thought I really have no fear of a hit on me from corporations, so don't worry about that. Okay, more Half-Life stuff. Let's see. Well, thank you. Somebody says, I noticed you have many unique thoughts and ideas just about anything. Well, I don't know how unique they are, but some. My impression is that few people have thought processes similar to yours. You could be right. I don't know. My wife says my head's a funny shape. So. Do you consider yourself by any ways different from average people? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I've always been a little weird, but I guess one thing that I maybe is different from average people about me is if I'm convinced something is right, like I've just worked it out in my head, like, no, this is what I should do. And like it makes sense, you know. When I say right, I don't mean right morally necessarily, but like this is the best course of action I think I should take. Then I won't care what anyone else says. Like, I mean, unless they had, you know, other evidence to show me I'm wrong. And maybe not everybody has that. Or if I enjoy something that, let's say it's not as cool or whatever, well, if I'm enjoying it, well, then I don't care, you know, what other people say. So maybe I have a higher degree of that than the average person. Where, in fact, I noticed that the other day where, I mean, it was such a minor thing, but I was crossing the road and I knew this stoplight took forever to go. And I noticed just there's no cars at all coming one direction. So I you know what? I'm just gonna jaywalk. I mean, this is completely safe jaywalking. Nobody else did it. And then I stopped at the midpoint and no cars at all come from that direction. I mean, we're talking a wide berth, you know? So I walked across that and then I just kept walking around the block, turned the corner, they were still waiting. So that's an example of what I mean. It's like, if something really makes sense, then I don't necessarily, well, you probably conclude that about me anyway, with saying all this stuff about how I think there really could be another economic nightmare, because that's not really the common, I guess, narrative of the times. Really, I mean, like on the news, they're not saying, "Whoa, yeah, we're at like this level of risk of this sort of crash happening in this many months unless actions." I don't think we're seeing a lot of news like that. So, but you know, well, or what I was saying about oil. So, saying, are you admitting to a crime now? Yeah, I guess so, but you know, I guess you'd have to have the evidence. But I'm admitting to a victimless crime. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'll fess up to jaywalking. I've done that. But the thing is, that light took forever. Like, I mean, it's just. I mean, if there was even a car kind of close, I wouldn't have done it because, you know, it sets kind of a bad precedent to be cutting it close and making drivers nervous, that sort of thing. But there's just no one coming. No one. You know, it was. Okay, so. Yeah. And of course, I have this image in my mind now of being able to explore VR worlds. I guess. I don't know. I think my mind's going all over the place now. So, okay, I should wrap these up. There are more questions than I thought. Someone's asking my opinion on the motorcycle subcultures. Motorcycles are cool. They're cool and they're dangerous. You know, that kind of sums it up. I haven't played the game Blasphemous, though it's on my list. Okay, this question has been asked before. Oh yeah, I had no. Boy, I guess I'll have to mention that in one of the follow-ups. The oof sound in Messiah. I had no idea. Apparently that was used in the game Roblox, which I haven't played. And just there must have been 100 comments about that, maybe more. I had no idea. So let's see. Oh yeah, somebody's asking me, I go through how I record footage in Half-Life 2 to make it ready for YouTube. Watch Help Make Freeman's Mind HD. It's on the channel there. That was for Half-Life, but it's Half-Life Source, so it's still the Source engine. I still use pretty much the same procedure. Somebody's asking about Fear Factory. I like the music in Carmageddon. Let's see. I am familiar with Slipstream 5000. I might have played a demo way back when, but it's it's on my to playlist. So I do have some. I'm totally on board with the game Bloodborne thematically, though it's still a PlayStation exclusive. Might be forever. And I should probably play the Dark Souls games first. Okay, more recommendations. Oh, okay. So, apparently, Serious Sam 4 is not open world. Okay. It looked like it was pretty massive, though, those levels. I mean, at some point, open world versus a really massive level, like, what's the distinction, you know? Well, that's somebody is asking how interesting things have done to be cheap in the past. I'd have to think about it. People can vote that up for next time more if they want. Let's see. Have you considered playing any hunting games like Deer Avenger? No, but I have played some of the Hunter. It's free to play. That's one, just because it's really scenic. That's one where, it's funny because I was just kind of exploring in it, and then like way on the horizon, I think I saw a boar or something. So like, okay, why not? So I aimed real carefully, took a shot, and then immediately this pop-up box says, "Oh, you do not have the license to shoot this. Like you need to get like the upgrade pack or something." So that just made me laugh. But that's one I'd like to just kind of walk around in VR if I could. The Hunter games, just because they did a fantastic job on the forest. So. Yeah, I guess I'm not really huge into hunting because, I mean, games you can do a lot more. I mean, again, I'd rather have like my full scale kind of planet-side war than a hunting game. And in real life, it's like, that's a lot of work to clean it up and, gut it and like pack the meat and, skin it. I'd rather just go on a hike and be done. I mean, I can see, I see the appeal of like hunting, but it's like, the follow through is the part I wouldn't want to deal with. So I guess that's, I wouldn't be interested. I'd be too lazy for the fun. It would feel too much like work then. I figure real hunters, they probably don't mind that part either that much. Yeah, I'm hoping somebody gets the Hunter games working in VorpX or something or VR, just because, I mean, that would be fantastic. Oh man, it keeps going. All right. Okay, I'm just about done. Okay, so you can ask questions in the chat. Like somebody already did. You use 3 equal signs first. Okay, somebody asked, well, okay, I guess I'll mention this. I'm too ignorant, to be honest. They're asking about the recent assassination that might be leading, of the Iran general that might be taking us to war. I'm way too ignorant on it to have an informed opinion, just that war games are awesome. Actual war means we're kind of failing as a society, right, or a civilization. That's the worst possible outcome, basically, to a situation. So, not good. Yeah, that's. And for Serious Sam 3, yeah, I found out later. I didn't realize that when I played it, that they actually were going to make like this sort of Middle Eastern like tactical game, but then the contract fell through, so they had all these assets. So they just rolled them into Serious Sam 3 to make a prequel. And like the beginning levels are just ugly. It's just a bunch of bombed out brown buildings. Like, I didn't enjoy that at all. It gets better as it goes. And the gameplay is definitely there, especially towards the end. Those space monkeys, I honestly wondering if they were just trolling the players, because those are just the most annoying things to fight. I mean, it's just not fun at all. There's hard and then there's annoying. They're annoying. So, but the final level, you get a decent show. So that's, even though the very final boss is kind of awkward. But yeah, and the writing might be the strongest of the whole series. Like his one-liners in there are just great. They did not miss a beat on the writing. So it might be my least favorite overall, but I was laughing at parts of it. So. Okay. Have you heard about Burn Band? Yeah, that sounds familiar. Let's see. I've seen the name before. I'm trying to remember which game that is. Oh yeah, that one might be on my list, isn't it? Well, we'll see. Here, let's see if you guys should check the list if you ask, have I heard of this game? Because I may have heard of the game and just not care for it, but if it's on the list, yeah, I've heard of it. So it's on the list. So yes, I have heard of it. That's why I made that list, you know? You call yourself the Messiah? Yeah, geez, they could have come with more. They could have come with more answers. I mean, more death messages than that. I did not know Valve was going to release more footage of Half-Life Alyx in the last Game Awards, and then they canceled. What's your opinion? You know what? They may work a little bit like me, where they're just trying at the last minute to get things done. They don't, and they're slow. Who knows? Well, although I guess what's not like me is Valve is in a position they can do whatever they want. I mean, the money is flowing in. They take longer? Oh, fine. We're gonna make a VR exclusive game? Okay, fine. We'll do whatever we want. So it's we canceled what we're gonna show for the awards? Okay, fine, we're Valve. I mean, I don't think they do that to be obnoxious. They just it's like, oh well, it didn't work, so we're not gonna do it. And so like, a lot of people aren't in that position, so. Suppose your future self somehow travel back in time to give you the completed series of Freeman's Mind 2 along with the movie. What would you do? Well, that would be rough, because I'd ask, is this cool with the timeline? And then if my future self said, yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it, then yeah, I'd just go ahead and release it. So, I mean, because we're getting into some paradoxes there, but I figure if I'm coming back in time to hand it to me, then future me probably knows what's going on better than present me. So yeah, I'll take it. Fine. I mean, I'm assuming I'll be pleased with the results. So, what are your favorite source mods? Beyond Fortress Forever, Zombie Panic, Source Zombie Master. Ah, jeez, I'm trying to remember. I guess I haven't played. I played a lot of I used to. I haven't played that many in a long time. There were some one-off ones. I was looking forward to the They Hunger sequel, which never happened, I think. Yeah, there was. I'm trying to think of other source mods that I've played. I don't know. I'm just drawing a blank on it. I mean, there was some where I played a couple levels that were just sort of okay. But I mean, okay, I played Neo Tokyo. That's one where the gameplay wasn't really my thing, but it's gorgeous. That's another thing I'd like to walk around in VR in. Let's see. I played. Oh, geez, there was another one I forgot the name of. It was some futuristic thing where you had these kind of juggernaut-looking guys with neon stuff on them. Again, I just sort of thought it was okay. Well, I guess I played Dear Esther, which wasn't really my kind of game, actually, but I was curious about it. That was before walking simulators got bigger, I guess, is when that came out. I guess I haven't played as many as I could have, so. What aspect ratio would you be using for the movie, or do you not really care? I don't know. I'm undecided on that. I was probably just gonna. I figure most people are gonna watch it on normal screen, so I should probably just go with 16:9. But I mean, if there was a real reason to shift it to something else, I could. Or maybe if it depends on how the filming goes, I could honestly have multiple versions. Maybe. It's the sort of thing where that might be trivial to do. In which case, maybe I could release a 16. If I wanted to, I could just release a super wide version for people with like those 21:9 ones. But I guess I'll probably just do 16:9. I don't know. I mean, it won't be narrower than that. So, have I heard of Superliminal? The name sounds familiar again. Yeah, I think oh yeah, that's the one with the perspective bending thing. Yeah, that might be interesting. Actually, I should mention that one to my dad doesn't really play games, but he might find that one interesting. So I should mention that one to my dad. Okay, let's see. Yeah, and you can see I'm like way behind in the chat. This is why I use IRC to see the questions. I have not played Nier Automata, though I might try that sometime. I still haven't played the Thief games. Even though I will eventually. I mean, they're classics. I mean, they're the original first two, I think. After that, I think it gets divisive. But have you seen the memes on subreddit? What do you think of them? Oh, maybe one or two. I don't know. I didn't look at them that much. I'm sorry I don't keep up that much with like the Curse Farbs Reddit thing. Although, hey, I'll say this though. One of at least two of the side videos I want to do. One of the reasons I'm so keen on making them is because they're hugely dependent on audience feedback. Like I'm making them because I want to hear what people think about this, and maybe other people have had more thoughts about them. So that's one of the reasons I'm like, I really want to make them, because I feel like collectively we might get to some answers that I've been wanting. So, and hopefully it'll be entertaining enough to watch. So I'll for one of them at least, I'll definitely mention the Curse Farms Reddit there. It'll probably get a link to it. It's like, you know, when I did the birthday video, I had, you know, I did this thing for people to, you know, send me stuff or give feedback if everybody wanted to see it. It's going to be a little bit like that, but except more focused on what I'm after. So I have not, well, I saw someone's asking about the System Shock remake. Yeah, I saw the old videos of it, so could be awesome. So I have not heard of Windows 9. It's a custom version with kernel improvements from 8.1, but stylized to look like Windows 7. It will not solve the problem in the long run, buy you some extra years. Well, VR is probably the biggest thing pushing me towards 10. So, I mean, and there's other smaller things, but I mean, VR, I want to get on that train at some point. So, it's, well, yeah. I mean, you heard my thoughts on it. I'll figure out something eventually, but I've played Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim for the Elder Scrolls games. What do you think of them? It's kind of all the same thing to me, but I never really get into them, but they're also technical marvels, and I do enjoy the whole huge open world aspect. I mean, they've never really been my favorites, but for sure I want to go back in VR and walk through them again. So yeah, that's a common theme I keep saying, because it's, I don't know, it's, I've got this explorer urge, and I think VR is gonna feed it. So I have not watched any anime recently. I don't watch much anime, sorry. What is your favorite glitch that you've seen or experienced? That might appear in a game dungeon, so I don't want to spoil it. I have to think about a runner-up. Maybe ask that one again in the chat. I'll think about some others. But no, I have a clear favorite. But maybe I could think of a runner-up that I could try to think of. Well, okay. Oh yeah. I was thinking I should mention this when I talked about the sneaky thing. Yeah, I'll mention one of my favorites. Creepy Watson. Look this up. Somebody has a video. It's not really a glitch so much as a shortcut in programming, where it was this Sherlock Holmes game where, you know, it was a first-person thing. You're going and solving a mystery, and Watson would follow you. And the thing is, whenever you looked at him, he would just sort of stand there. And if you walk forward, you turn around, basically the computer would just, when you're not looking, it would kind of teleport him forward. So like, let's say you look up, he's at the top of a staircase. Then you turn around and you walk forward a step. Then you look again, he's right behind you. I mean, he's right, like, it was so great watching the video of it. I was thinking, oh man, that is so awesome. That um okay, what's okay, I remembered another okay, yeah, I remembered another one that I liked that unfortunately is no more. In Path of this became the foundation for one of my characters in Path of Exile. Once I saw this, I was just like, okay, I have to do this. In Path of Exile, I want to say for years, although I only found out about it in like the last few months leading up to it, there used to be, I guess you'd call it a glitch or maybe just a overlooked aspect of the game where if you use golems, like you summon golems and then the golems attack things, those things are tanks. Like almost, they're incredibly difficult to kill from the enemies. Well, what could happen is you could go up to a boss, and the bosses just get brutal in that game. It could kill you, but the thing is, your golems would keep on fighting, and they would kill the boss. So you could basically defeat every boss in the game while dead. And that was awesome. I love that. So I certainly used that glitch while it lasted, but they don't do that now. They'll keep fighting, but they don't do any damage. So yeah, I enjoyed that glitch. Another good one is in I never played it, but I saw it in Battlefield 3 beta. They had these weird neck distorting bugs. If you want a fun video, look up. Maybe I'll link to this on YouTube. Look up Battlefield 3 in real life, or Battlefield 3 beta in real life. That sums it all up. It's great. Like, what are some other fun ones? Yeah, that's a good question. Their favorite glitch. Man, I want to say I'm forgetting some others. Feel free to email me on that if there's like some really fun ones to hear about or see. Well, actually, okay, maybe I'll have this in a follow-up eventually. When I was doing The Secret World, I didn't get this on film, unfortunately, but I was in a cutscene and something glitched out where my character teleported, I think, like behind on like this guy's car. I was talking to him in the carnival parking lot, and then he's like right behind him while he's allegedly talking to me, except my character's teleported behind him like he's watching, like he's standing behind him watching him talk to him. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to reproduce it, but maybe I can make a really rough recreation of it. It looked hilarious. So, but yeah, I mean, there's tons of like body distortion ones out there. So those have almost got. I mean, like with Fallout New Vegas, Assassin's Creed Unity. I think I saw a good one not long ago with it was one of the wrestling games, like I think WWE 2020 or something, where it showed these guys just, one guy was up there just kind of cheering, and then it looked like kind of like a Royal Rumble kind of situation where there's multiple wrestlers, and two of them are on the ground and they're just spinning in circles like a dog, just over and over again on either side. And you watch that for 10 seconds, and then this guy just falls straight down from the sky like he's in the rafters, like smashes through the table and just lands there like he's dead or something. I mean, it was hilarious. If somebody has a link, you can send that to me. I forget where I saw it, but it just was so funny. So yeah, feel free to send me just particularly fun glitches, because again, in the land of glitches now, like again, I consider a lot of new games almost late betas now. Just a body distortion maybe doesn't cut it anymore. You got to get something even more just even more hilarious. So, but yeah, Creepy Watson's definitely one of my favorites. I'll have to remember to put that in the. I'll try to remember to put that in the YouTube description, a link to that. Okay, so yeah, that was a good question. Now I probably got way behind. Let's see. I think the source of all your problems is working at too many things at once. Well, yeah, maybe, but I have to make the movie. So it's, but, and the nice thing about all these side videos is I do them and they're done. They're done. I don't have to make like an ongoing series out of it. So that kind of pushes me to get them out of the way. And then I can just go back to Game Dungeon and Freeman's Mind. And the movie. Unfortunately, that's still 3 things. Freeman's Mind, Game Dungeon, and the movie. But what may end up happening is Game Dungeon kind of becomes a little more sparingly, but and hey, for people who want more Game Dungeon, Freeman's Mind will eventually end. So Game Dungeon doesn't really. I mean, it ends with me, but you know. Okay. Okay, that's sort of what they recommend. Yeah, I might get to that, but I gotta get these side videos out. Okay, here, I'll let you know what. I don't mind spoiling this a little bit. One of the side videos is about the GUI, which, okay, some people aren't gonna be that interested in it. People are talking about me having thoughts. I've had a lot of thoughts about the GUI, and I really want to get feedback from people on once people have seen what I'm thinking. And another one is my dream software idea. In other words, this is like if I could pick any piece of software that I have a clue of what I'm talking about, this would be it. And I think it's fantasy right now. I think it has the potential not to be. So those are 2 of the side videos I want to get out. So I have not seen the new Witcher Netflix series. I should probably play the games first. Let's see. Are you interested in the Talos Principle? I've beaten the Talos Principle. I mean, again, Atmosphere wasn't my favorite, but excellent gameplay and, you know, really good puzzles. You know, it's, you know, I complained that Portal. I was expecting to get punched in the face puzzle-wise by Portal. I thought that, yeah, throw them at me. Give me some tough puzzles. And they didn't do that. Talos Principle gives you some tough puzzles, so that they delivered on that front. So, are there any hidden messages or secrets in your videos no one has uncovered? Not that I know of. I mean, I can. There might be like a little more subtle. Like if you, like I think I had a third as an example. The thing I might hide in there, like in Veil of Darkness. I think I had a third like shining glint coming off his teeth, you know, like I'm Chuck, and then like ding, like as for his smile, you know, just to kind of like, hey, I'm the protagonist, you know, kind of. And I ripped that off completely, by the way, in case you're wondering. I first saw that in the movie The Great Race. It's an old comedy. So, but it seems so perfect. Like, hi, I'm Chuck, you know, and then just has that grin. It's just like, yeah, let's just push this even more. But I don't think I have any. So sometimes when I have cuts, you might see something emerge in like the last couple frames. I may have kept it a little too long in the Phantasmagoria one for the abandoned house. But yeah, I don't have any like super secret stuff. I don't have time for that, you know. I mean, I might drop a reference, maybe only certain people would know, but or a minority would know, but I'm all right with that. So, but yeah, don't worry if you're looking. Well, okay, the one exception, maybe there's something there in the Baldies maps. Okay, I don't know. I was gonna say that's the one exception where maybe there really is a subliminal image. But don't worry. If you're analyzing the footage, does he have a hidden message? I don't. So, sorry. Or if I did, I completely forgot it. But I think I would have remembered. Oh, geez, this is a while ago. Do you have the Sven co-op videos you do with the Lore Master? The person the sub... I may not. I think they did all the recording for that. Yeah, they asked me... Yeah, this was back when... I think it was in the Machinima Nightmare that I wasn't sure I was going to be able to release more videos, and they offered to pay me some to play some of that. with them. So I said, sure. I mean, normally I don't kind of want to do that sort of thing, but at that time, I was stressed about money at that time. So yeah, I would do that, but I'd rather have more open access to everybody, not feel like you have to pay me in order to get a response from me or talk to me. I mean, there's could be a lot of people and I only have so much time, but I don't want to make it based on payment, you know, if I can avoid that. But I am afraid I don't have those. I think they did all the recordings, so you have to contact them. How's progress on your games list going? I'm a couple weeks behind. You're probably going to see an influx, and you'll probably see another dozen or two of those pop up in there. I've been adding to them gradually, but see what happens is I'll make the list, and then I've been handing it off to a volunteer who helps hunt down the good screenshots and organize it. So I'm still just kind of doing what I always did, except, see, that's what's great. That's a video I got out of the way. And now it doesn't create any more work, but you can see maybe some interesting games. So I like it when I can have videos like that. But someone has sent me Game Dungeon intros. Sorry, I haven't used more of them. I gotta catch up on the emails. I gotta get on top of that. So my apologies to everyone who's submitted stuff. I am gonna get some done in emails. Probably. I probably say that every other month, but it's like this time I mean it, is how I feel. So progress anyway. I may not get through all of them. And I'm 20 minutes behind the chat. Let's see. But I got through some questions. Would you mind having a fully CPU-based rendering subsystem with anti-aliasing for playing Windows games on Linux that prevent the possible driver issues? I would not mind. I think a fully CPU-based rendering subsystem with anti-aliasing is probably not in the cards for any games in the past 20 years. I mean, something like that. But no, look, I'm all for finding a solid backwards a solid backwards compatibility or emulation option. I mean, if it's emulated, but it's just as good as it was 15, 20, 25 years ago, then who cares? Well, okay, some people care about really minute differences. For me, anti-aliasing is a little less than minute, but it's what? Yeah, but trying to offload everything that GPU does onto the CPU, that is a tall order. I think that's not very realistic for a lot of 3D games. So that'll be an interesting experiment, though. How good can 3D graphics be with only the CPU? Like what's the current state if we were just only have CPU rendering? That'll be an interesting experiment for somebody who. I'm not gonna do. I don't have the skill to do that. But if somebody had an idea for a YouTube video, like they're a 3D programmer, how far could you push it without a GPU? That'd be interesting. The moon, Ross. The moon. Okay, let's see. I have played the Stanley Parable. I'd say it's probably one of the best of the walking simulators. You know, for the dialogue, it was enjoyable. And some of those games, I wonder, like, I don't know. I feel like the Stanley Parable was mostly on the safe side of things, but I don't like it when games think they're deep and they're not. And I feel like Stanley Parable was kind of on the safe side of things there. It wasn't taking itself too seriously, so. What's your favorite build engine game? Well, there's not a lot of them, are there? I mean, there's what, Duke Nukem, Blood. I guess what, Iron Fury is the new one, which I haven't played. I mean that's not much of a choice, you know. I wouldn't. There's probably a few more out there. I'm not sure which ones. Ross, you tend to care a lot about sound design. What is the best soundtrack of sound design? The best sound. That's too broad a question, right, for this late. And sound design in general. I'm not sure. You know, I was bored. It was a long episode, so I didn't do it. I was borderline calling out the sound design in Messiah. It was not great. I mean, they were just having effects playing way too loud, or just it felt really clunky. And there was much better sound at the time. You know, I don't know. I'm not sure what the best sound is. That's the sort of thing where I notice when it's bad. I don't always notice when it's good, but you know, I'm mostly just playing at headphones too. If I probably had, or maybe I should get different headphones for gaming and use these, just keep using these for editing or something. Yeah, if you want to recommend headphones for just the sort of most cinematic experience, you know, ones that kind of maybe are open ear or something that kind of have more of a wow factor. Because I probably want to keep using these for editing to get the sound accurate. But, you know, if one, yeah, like let's say you can't use speakers, which headphones will make you feel like you're using speakers the most? You know, like good soundscape, kind of directional position, great directional positioning, that sort of thing. Yeah. How do you feel about someone cosplay you? I think you could do better, but I don't have a problem with it. Do you rad hate comments? No. But I mean, YouTube does not make it easy to like comments. I mean, oh, that's an interesting point. Oh yeah, maybe I should reply to, oh wait, where'd it go? Or it's like, oh yeah, here, I should check back. What, did that guy reply? I can't find the comment anymore. Or it's just like, okay, well these, YouTube comment navigation is awful, I think, but. I mean, and the other thing, I guess the other thing is I kind of have to bide my time. You know, I do like, we'll look at some comments, but at the same time, I only have so much time. So comments, unfortunately, get a lower priority, but emails get a higher priority from me. Not necessarily replies, even though I really want to get to them, but I'm more likely to read an email than I am from you than I am a comment. In fact, there's probably like a 95 to 98% chance I will read your email, or I already have read your email, and I just need to respond to it. There's a few, sometimes I miss them, sometimes, but it's rare, so. Would you consider doing a thematic video? Maybe like a discussion or later posted on YouTube and your website for further discussion. Oh, I mean like on a certain topic? Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know. See, that sounds like the sort of thing that'd be better for like people mentioning other podcasts, like, oh, appear on a podcast where they're discussing that topic. I feel like that would be a better use of my time. If it's a topic I really want to talk about, I'll probably make a full video on it, because if I care enough about it that, yes, I really want to make a video on this, then I'll give it a little more presentation, and maybe more people can watch it and get feedback. So, whoops. I almost knocked the microphone over, but I think it's all right. I should probably wrap this up soon. What do you think about brain implants for gaming? I think that's probably where I'll draw the line as far as, you know, being an old fogey that, you know, is scared of the new technology. Let's see. If people modded some open world games to be driving games, would you play them? Yes, double yes. Especially, like, there's two I really want. One is Microsoft Flight Simulator, because the level of detail, yeah, that's another Windows 10 one. The level of detail they're putting into that is just mind-boggling, to the point where even on the ground level, it looks like it might look kind of all right. Even though you're only meant to be seeing it from a friggin' plane, you know, mile up in the air. Another one, that came out recently, I think, Transport Fever 2. I saw the trailer of that, like, wow, this looks pretty cool. Looks like I would want to explore these areas. So yeah, those are my two top ones for turning the game. Just give me some basic driving controls and a car, and then I'll probably dump a lot of time into it. So yes, absolutely, 100%. But like the more it looks like a game world that you would want to drive around in, yes, that's the easiest way to put it. So. But yeah, those are the top two: Microsoft Flight Simulator, the new one, and Transport Fever 2. Those look like the contenders. That it's just screaming to have that, you know. What will you do if you run out of Half-Life content for Freeman's Mind? I'll do Game Dungeon, and hopefully by that time I'll have my processes nailed down more. I can have more stuff like Civil Protection, or stuff like Civil Protection, or just more kind of original story ideas. Or I'm not worried about coming up with stuff. That's not a problem. I mean, I was worried in the past that if I stopped doing Freeman's Mind, I mean, or once I finished it, then like all support, or like 90% of the audience would just leave and never come back. But I think Game Dungeon has enough of a following now that I can keep it going. So it's, or, you know, from views. I mean, I'm not going to run out of games to talk about. So that gives me, so I've got that nailed down that I can kind of do other stuff too eventually. But yeah, I'd really like to get back to like original creative stuff, but we'll see what happens. I have tried Grim Dawn. I haven't beaten it yet. That's one of the games I was playing after the video is done. So I'm enjoying it. It's very Titan Quest is how it feels. But yeah, but I like the theme better than Titan Quest. In fact, Grim Dawn is going to get a footage cameo in one of the future videos in the Dream Software project that I'm envisioning here. Are you planning on streaming a different game soon? No, not necessarily. I kind of want to just get more real videos out. When you eventually join the VR wave, what HMD are you thinking about getting? Well, I'm 1 foot in on the VR wave. Here's the DK2 still. Well, yeah, I think I mentioned this earlier in the chat. Again, if I had to buy one tomorrow, I'd probably get the Samsung Odyssey Plus, because the price gets low enough that even though it's going to get replaced by something better later, it's a good bang for the buck ratio. I mean, you can go cheaper, but it has some nice aspects to it, like an IPS screen, and it might be one of the best for not having screen door effect. And I think they might have fixed this. It used to be blurrier, but it's less. But I think there's a software fix that there was a problem that it made it blurrier than it should, and now it's better. Or else there's a hack for it that makes it better. But that's the best bang for the buck, great one, I think, from what I've been reading. If money was no object, I'd probably want the Pimax 8KX, or I guess the Valve Index one would probably be the two sort of upper end, or no, if I was really loaded, then maybe the XTAL one. But although the new Pimax one might be better than that, I'm not sure. So those would probably be the upper end of ones. So, but again, I got to get to 10. I got to get on Windows 10 first, and that's not a small thing for me because of how much I do with the computer. I should wrap this up soon. What games did you try to play differently than intended? I'd have to think about it. That would have been a good question to submit. So, if somebody's upset in the chat, okay. Well, or rather, they were upset. I'm still 20 minutes behind. Geez. Okay, I gotta catch up more. I'm gonna start skipping some now. Sorry. Okay, somebody's saying watch the series before the Witcher games. I have gone to howlongtobeat.com sometimes if I'm curious, but that doesn't factor in too much. I mean, I guess if I was going to cover some Game Legend, I want to know if it's going to be 8 hours or 60 hours, so, but that wouldn't dissuade me, but it might affect when I'm releasing it or when I decide to do the video. I have not played the Earthbound sequel. And I heard a fan game like that got made into a standalone game, actually. Oh, no. Okay, well, that's a good question. They say, I preferred Wolfenstein's 2009 over the depressive and politically riddled New Order. Looking at you trash the 2009, does that mean I had bad taste or missed something at some point? No, it's just... No, actually, I felt like New Order maybe went a little too far in the other direction. It's a tricky balance because on the one hand, you have Nazis, and Nazis are pretty brutal. On the other hand, you have robot attack dogs and zombies and dual machine guns, not submachine guns, but machine guns in each hand that you're firing with. So it's a tricky line to straddle between goofy versus like kind of making sure the Nazis are worthy or staying as worthy villains, you know? So it's tricky, but the new order was pretty good, I thought. I mean, I would have dialed, what was it? Was it Pathos? I would have dialed back the Pathos just a little bit, but that was closer to what I like. But hey, if you like the other one, great. You know, it just, I don't know, something about it just wasn't clicking with me. It just felt, see, you could have made the 2009 one work better, but I feel like they kind of needed to do, like it needed more life injected into it or some. I'm trying to think of. Okay, I'd have to stop and think about how you would do this, but I'd say make it more like Indiana Jones. You know, like okay, we're on an adventure, and it is in some ways, but it's not in others, and I have to stop and think about how it's not. So that's the best I can come up with. So yeah, it needs something. It needs something. So I'm not sure I've gone 100% completionist in a game, or at least I forgot about. I mean, I'll sometimes replay a game in other ways or try different other aspects of it if I'm as an excuse for more. Like if I'm really enjoying the game, I'll do more. I'll do other aspects of it as an excuse for more gameplay. Like I remember I did a lot of the side missions in Watch Dogs, but I didn't do everything. I mean, because sometimes, I like the puzzles that they had in Watch Dogs. I enjoyed that. I did all of those, but I don't think I got 100%. I mean, because at some point, a lot of 100% completion games, it's not fun. Some of the stuff they want you to do, and if it's not fun, well, why should I do it? You know, so. It's a game. Yeah, I'm not seeing the at. Okay, wait. Okay, I mentioned Half-Life Alex in this chat and the next one for the person asking. So, I mean, not the next one, the previous one. So, everybody's mentioning Receiver. Okay, what game is this? Am I familiar with this one? Oh, okay, I think I saw that, and the style was so minimalist that I wasn't sure if it was something I wanted to play. Okay, yeah, I see, it says there, Receiver was created for the 7-day first-person shooter challenge to explore gun handling mechanics, randomized Okay, I'm not. Okay, to be honest, okay, as to be perfectly honest, that's a turnoff for me when I hear this game was created in 7 days or 48 hours or something. I want somebody to take as much time as they need and not feel rushed. Like I can see them like coming up with the concept in that time, and then like then it was built upon that, and then months later we made a game. I don't want. I mean, I guess it depends on your view. I mean, some people who are really into game development, that's like probably some of the most exciting stuff for them. For me, I kind of want more like the full experience. So, and I think it's pretty rare when like you create a really great game in that amount of time. It's just too much to there's too much to go into it. But if you're more if seeing new gameplay ideas is like the main thing you're into in games, then yeah, I can see where that'd be more appealing. But well, I mean, it has nice lighting. I'll say that. But it looks. My first complete knee jerk response from reading the description and looking at screenshots here is it looks kind of more basic than what I would want to play. This is just complete first glance. So this is not overly informed or anything. I'd rather play something more in depth. Like a mission or a storyline or uh, well, okay, like this has the sort of mood of fear. I'd rather play something more like Fear or something like that. But have I checked out any RPG Maker games? Possibly, but remember, I don't really care for turn-based combat, so they'd have to be ones that didn't use that. So, well, I say remember like you need to remember that. It's just my preference. I have not seen College Humor series Troopers. I could check that out, though. I tend to be biased against newer College Humor stuff. Very few of them have found like pretty funny. Whereas the older stuff, like the early 2010 stuff, for a few years onward, that's just a gold mine of stuff, funny stuff in there. Yeah, late 2000s, early 2010s. Okay, I'll pick three more questions. Okay, well, that one's real easy. Did you still want Dark Souls 2? Sure, but I should probably play the first one. I don't have either. Although I do have Dark Souls 3, which was gifted to me from some bundle that somebody had extras of. So, but I don't have the other two. I still need to play Soma, though I do have a copy of that. I think it was given out for free at one point. Have you thought about looks like library without vowels as a YouTube alternative? No, I'll wait and see. I don't really I don't really want to be an early adopter to a YouTube alternative if I don't have to. I'd rather let somebody else guinea pig that. So and then if it becomes clear that yeah, this is kind of emerging as maybe smaller YouTube content is dwindling and this one's rising, because I've seen too many of these things die. I mean, I uploaded stuff to blip.tv and how did that turn out? And before that, there was like Stage 6 or something like that. So, Ross, favorite movie of the year? Oh, geez, good question. Well, okay, I don't. I think I saw it the year before. I really like the FP. It's not for everyone though, but that didn't come out last year. Though the sequel came out recently. I need to see that. Uh, Geez, I'd have to think about what I watched last year. I don't know. Okay, geez, I don't have a good answer. Sorry, I'd have to think about. Well, that's a good question though. Okay, it's going on longer than it should, but whatever. Okay, let's see. Top movies 2019. Let me see what came out. That was Avengers Endgame. It was all right, which may sound like blasphemy to some people. I haven't seen the new Star Wars. Haven't seen Ad Astra. I mean, Joker was pretty good, but wasn't quite my kind of movie. Okay, I haven't seen John Wick 3. Everybody's saying The Lighthouse is good. I haven't seen that. Captain Marvel, I thought could have been better. I thought it was kind of one of the weaker comic book ones. Looks like they remade Dolomite. Okay, that's interesting. I haven't seen Jojo Rabbit. There's a lag time. I don't see that much brand new in the theater. I did see it. It was all right. I saw Alita Battle Angel. It was all right for what it is, you know. Well, Jumanji. I enjoyed the Jumanji sequel. Let's see. I'm just looking at top 2019 movies. I guess I either haven't seen a lot or stuff was just okay. So I'm not saying this is the best for movies that came out in 2019 that I've seen. I guess Jumanji might be at the top. That doesn't mean it was the best movie, just from what I've seen. So, okay, so that was one. Why not do about Windows 10 and 7? I do some on my gaming laptop. At some point, 7's not going to cut it for what I'm doing. And the other point is dual booting is a pain. I mean, it depends on your workflow. I mean, what if I want to play a game for 20 minutes? Okay, let's reboot. Okay, time to get back to work. Okay, let's reboot. Okay, what if I'm doing, what if I'm going back and forth between gaming and video editing? I might have to, that would just be a mess. No, I thought if it got really, really bad, I think, I don't want to go down this route because I think it might be very difficult, but I think the most realistic option might be for my workflow, have Linux as the main machine, but then set up I think it's called a KVM, kernel virtual machine or something like that, for Windows 10. So that way, Windows can do whatever the hell it wants, and I'm only using it when I have to. Maybe I can find some video editing software for most of what I do on Linux, and then just for some special effects, then I fire up Windows for that. And then if it's screwing with me, well, then I'm at least cutting my losses there more. Or hey, I can just lock it down from the internet when I need to do more work. That might be a possible realistic solution. So basically, I'm running Windows 10 as a real low-level virtual machine, Windows under Linux. But boy, that there's some hoops to jump through to get that going. So. Okay, let's see. Okay, so one more question. Let's see. Okay, so Troopers was older, so that's good. Why do you need to switch to Windows 10, by the way? Well, I kind of answered that, but I'd like better, I want more, fine, I'll answer it again. Better GUI options, though that's a mixed bag there. And I want VR support. That's gonna be rapidly dwindling on 7. And there's some eventually, well, this part's the least critical. Eventually some Windows 10 games I wanna play. But I'm in no hurry on that. That's not pushing me that much. And yeah, I guess that's it. VR, and just, I'm probably gonna run into gradually more and more problems the longer I go on. Though the same could be said for 10 in different ways. Okay, so yeah, Windows 10 is kind of a nightmare in some ways, and I guess we'll end the chat on that. I mean, it's not all bad. It's not a complete black and white thing, but in some ways, yeah, it is kind of a nightmare for traditional computer users. All right, I guess that's it. Videos coming for sure. Freeman's Mind, it might be out within a day or two after you see this video on YouTube. Just depends when I get the sound effects and I check them and they're all right and do the volume balancing, then pack it all together and it's out because it's ready to go. So, and I'm gonna keep doing Freeman's Mind because I know I have dropped the ball hard on getting more Freeman's Minds out. So that, the sun is rising for Freeman's Mind. Okay, I'll see you.